Howdy, 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 everyone. It is finally that time again. It is time to see the world's biggest, largest, most powerful rocket flying again and hopefully succeeding a little bit more today than it has the last couple times. This is going to be an interesting one because honestly, the stakes feel higher than ever because, this is the third flight now with the new upper stage. The first two went kablooey in around roughly the same time frame. And apparently they were fairly unrelated incidents, surprisingly, even though they looked very similar, like similar failures. It just really feels like this has to work today, right? This feels like a big one. This feels like, the last one felt like a pretty big step back. I was quite disappointed because, we're expecting Flight 8 to solve all the things that happened with Flight 7. That didn't happen. So now I remember, man, and even the hosts, I could just feel the energy in the room when it's like, oh, man. So we're right back at it today. We're hoping that today they succeed in doing what they have not done yet with with version 2 of Starship. So we are here I'm here at Mars. I'm here at the studio space in South Texas. Little minor heads up, this might be one of the last times we actually stream from this exact location. Still working out some details there, but we're going to savor it just in case because it is unbelievable to see launches from here. I mean, right out the door here, watching Starship launch from here is like one of the coolest things in the entire world. So it's looking good. We went on a little early just to make sure, looking for pad clear, looking for all those types of things to let us know whether or not we're hoping to see a launch today. It is going to be taking off, hopefully, in T-minus 2 hours and 25 minutes, like you see in the left-hand side of your screen. Flight 9, baby. I mean, this is, it's pretty crazy. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. So let's start off with a little bit of a pre-launch preview here. So the launch location today, this is taking off from Starbase, Texas, of course, legally now Starbase. We can actually properly, this is the first launch as it's been an incorporated town of Starbase. So it's no longer Boca Chica. It's no longer technically it was always, I don't think Boca Chica was its own thing. I think it's always kind of been a part of Brownsville, Texas. Now it's legally Starbase, Texas. So here we are. Location, Starbase, Texas. Launch pad. This is orbital pad A. Hoping to see, pad B is looking good. Pad B is getting closer, but for now, this is still the only operational launch pad. So pad A still. It was 82 days since Flight 8. A lot's changed since then. Booster, this is B14. We're expecting a hard splashdown. I think I heard them correctly say hard splashdown, meaning they aren't trying to terminate all the velocity. They're not going to do like a full hover test. They are doing some experimental things with the booster during reentry. So they're not even trying to catch it. People were asking things. We'll talk about this more later, but people were kind of asking, well, why don't they at least try? And if it doesn't, it's like the experiments they're doing are going to be pushing it to the limits. You still do not want this thing screaming back at the launch pad with a failed experiment. So this is the first reflight, though. This booster has flown. This is booster B14 that you might remember from Flight 7. Isn't that crazy? We've seen this booster fly. We're already seeing boosters refly in the Starship program. So SpaceX is currently the only rocket company to operate a fleet of boosters. Like, who else has had a fleet of boosters? Even back in the shuttle days, you had segments of boosters, pieces of solid rocket boosters, and you had orbiters. So there was a fleet of orbiters. But this is the first time in history with the Falcon 9 there's been a fleet of boosters, and now we're getting close to this same idea with Starship already, which is pretty wild considering this is only the ninth flight, and we're already seeing reflight of a booster. So big milestone. That's a lot of fun. We'll talk again more about them kind of pushing the boundaries. This is ship S35, and it's hopefully targeting the same flight, that we've kind of seen with Flight 4, 5, where we're seeing that soft splashdown. And really, really, really hoping, and Flight 4, 5, and 6, we saw a soft splashdown. So we're really hoping for a successful full second stage burn today and a re-entry over the Indian Ocean and soft splashdown in the Indian Ocean. This is the third flight of version 2. So Boy, oh boy, oh boy, do we have a lot to talk about, including, heads up, if you guys want, I was hoping for a lot more time and make a real video out of it. But unfortunately, we only got 10 minutes today. I did catch up with Elon Musk today. It's supposed to be after there's going to be a talk this morning, or I guess this afternoon. We were supposed to do some follow-up questions after the talk. The talk got rearranged, moved, and they ended up kind of just keeping the press questions, like interview times. So we got 10 minutes. It's, you know, I have a lot of questions. I have a lot of things that I want to ask and talk about when it comes to Starship. Unfortunately, we got to almost none of them. And it just is like, I'm such a talker and I'm such a conversational person that I feel like I have to, you know, warm up and stuff. So if you want to see that 10 minutes of pre-Flight 9, head on over. I posted it on X. Probably not even going to post it on YouTube, well, unless I have time. It's just like, I just figured that's the perfect content for X. Nice and short. So head on over there if you want to see that. But yeah, it's a real quick little conversation. Nothing too crazy, except for I did ask more about the heat shield tiles, because we know that this version of Starship actually is experimenting with some metallic tiles, experimenting with some actively cooled tiles. He kind of talks about that for a minute and kind of says, like, don't read too much into that. Unfortunately, like the tiles, he's like, you know, we're just kind of testing, because if we need to, they need to just be able to know what tools to employ in what places with Starship. It's still a giant prototype. Today's test, you know, you can look at it as this is just a test of the heat shield. It's a more mature heat shield. Haven't been able to test it too much before. So, yeah, so watch that video. We do learn a little bit. Metallic heat shields, I even asked about the regenerative tile. Didn't really get too much information there. Kind of just was like, yeah, don't really worry about it. Didn't even mention if it's regenerative really or transpirational or what really it is. But still, yeah, I mean, I'm just, what's crazy is they're flying this thing with a lot of heat shield tiles missing. They do have to know what are the implications if we have heat shield tiles falling off. And so that's what I'm excited to see today. The booster, cool. The launch is awesome. It's always a visceral, you know, gut feeling. You really hear and feel, and it's just an incredible sight to see and an incredible thing to witness. So, of course, excited about that, but I'm going to be all eyes glued on second stage today. In fact, I might even, well, I do like trying to watch the booster come down, and we're going to probably see it re-enter, and I probably am going to keep watching that, but I'm going to be ears glued and checking in often with the booster or with the upper stage to know, are we actually going to see this thing complete a full second stage burn? Will it get into space? Will it deploy Starlink dummy satellites? Will it do a Raptor relight? Will it re-enter? Man, oh man. Yeah, big test today. Another few things to talk about real quick. We'll show you speaking of the burn here. Here's the flight timeline. So obviously liftoff is just after they hold, technically they sit there and wait, make sure all engines are running, and they lift off at T plus 2 seconds. Max Q happens at minute and 2 seconds. MECO, or most engines cutoff, is at 2 minutes and 35 seconds. They are doing something slightly different this time with the hot staging ring. Speaking of hot staging ring, actually, if you look on the X video, you can get a little sneak peek of a new hot staging ring, the integrated hot staging ring. And let me tell you something, it is beautiful. Sorry, I got distracted. Hot staging jettison, because right now with this version, they're still jettisoning the hot staging ring. It's a separate ring that they jettison to be able to have the propellant margins for booster landing. Like I saw today, there is, you can see in the background, very slight little hint of the trellis framing for an integrated hot staging ring. It looks beautiful. Shutdown and simulated catch will be at 6:40. The ship engine cutoff will be at 8 minutes and 56 seconds. So that's when we're really going to be dialed in. Make sure it's on a nominal orbital-ish insertion. Again, not just shy of orbit, only about a 3 seconds of additional burn from orbit. So very close to orbit. They're intentionally targeting suborbit so they don't accidentally get something stranded in space when there's still these prototype vehicles. At an hour and 3 minutes, the ship is transonic, or the ship re-enters at, oh wait, sorry, I'm missing. Payload demo is 18 minutes and 26 seconds. So that's a big one. They've got Starlink dummy satellites in there. They're going to pop some out like Pop-Tarts out of a toaster. Hopefully that goes well. Hopefully then we see the a really quick little another in-space relight demo that we saw from Flight 6. Then 47 minutes, 50 seconds, we'll see the ship begin to re-enter. 1 hour, 3 minutes, 11 seconds, the ship will be transonic. Subsonic at an hour, 4 minutes, 26 seconds. Landing flip, landing burn, soft splashdown, 1 hour, 6 minutes, 38 seconds. So that's what we have to look forward to today. Really, really, really hoping we see some progress. How are you guys feeling? Sorry, I've been talking a lot. How are you guys feeling about this launch, about life, about summer coming up or winter coming up? I guess if you're in the Southern Hemisphere, sorry to all of you that don't get to experience summer now because it's finally summertime. Yeah, I'm excited because this is a big one. Like I said, that it's timing out pretty good. Tomorrow I'm doing a speech here in Brownsville that ironically is knock on wood here. Oh, by the way, we do have venting. We do actually have chilling down. So that's a good sign that we're moving towards seeing something today. So that's awesome. I didn't even point that out. Anyway, I'm talking at Brownsville tomorrow at a space symposium. Really excited about that. Ironically, it would be right during launch if this would scrub to tomorrow. So if this thing doesn't launch today, I'm going to panic. And I think the move will be we'll stream in front of a live studio audience. And that'll actually be a lot of fun. So logistically challenging, but a lot of fun. So if you happen to be in Brownsville, they might be sold out already on those tickets. But it's a cool event. I'm really excited to be a part of it. So we're trying to do a double header here, launch and a talk in Brownsville. So, man, look at the weather, by the way, between that wider shot from Sapphire and this one. The sky looks like absolutely scrub city in the one, and this one looks crystal clear. Like, hey, we got blue skies, baby. But the other shot side by side, that one's doesn't look that I guess we've seen them flying a lot worse than that. We do have the new dirigible there, the blimp aerostat thing. New one, because I say new because they had one fly away. I think that was like Flight 7. We actually lost power here for like an hour. So, yeah, some adventures have been around. The other thing I want to mention, too, is that we have something I'm really excited about and a lot of people have been asking about. Finally, we got our new Mercury rockets in stock and beginning to ship already. This is the second set for our 1/100 scale model rockets. We sold out over half of them already. We're almost completely sold out. But this is the second set for our 1/100 scale model rockets. So it's the same scale as our Falcon 9. Still made out of metal, which is awesome. So you actually get a real shiny, proper Atlas rocket, which I am a big fan of. And it's just really fun to see these to scale. This is our whoa! Look at it compared to the Falcon 9. Like, it's just absolutely crazy. I don't even know if you can see this, but the fact that they're to the same scale as the Falcon 9 is wild to me. Where did I put that when you see them side by side? Maybe I don't even show them side by side in this video. Whatever. They're tiny compared to the Falcon 9, which is a lot of fun. So we finally have those on sale, everydayastronaut.com/shop, as well as today we actually have a little treat for you guys. We put together a little sale pack for you guys where you get our Lox socks bundle and a Methalox shirt for 25% off, or you can also just get the socks on their own for 25% off. I've got them on right now. Methalox. The socks are all based on the colors of the different propellants. Methalox, Carolox, Hydrolox. And then we've got our Methalox shirt that features the Raptor engines breathing their boiled off propellant in their chambers while they're on the pad. I love that. With some nerdy facts about Methalox. So, yeah, get these. They're, like I said, 25% off for either the bundle or 25% off just the socks. Everydayastronaut.com. And like I said, you better get on it if you want to get those rockets because they are already almost sold out. Let's get to some questions. We are well into question land time. So don't forget, we'll put up any good comment we see. So feel free to ask some good questions, and I'll try my best to answer as many as I can. And I apologize for all those that I don't get to. Here's our first comment that we had already is that I'm going to push up on screen is from Mike TD saying, "Let's light this candle. Mike, I am on that boat. I am on the candle lighting boat today. Let's, for the love of God, let's please see a beautiful launch today. I need some good news in my life. We got some new memberships. Thank you so much. These always go a long ways for support. Melinda Jones and Andrea Raymond becoming members. Thank you so much. If you want to support the work we do here, the membership's easy, an easy way to do it right here on YouTube. Helps us. When I say keep the lights on, I mostly mean pay for air conditioning here because it's an insane amount of, and we still cook. From Mr. Cobra 83, EA Space, it's in the science. EA Space, it's in the science. I didn't even see what you were doing there until I read it out loud. Thank you, Mr. Cobra 83. This is from Dave McKeegan. Almost launched, so you can bet it works perfectly. Dave, good hearing from you, man. Thank you so much. Fingers crossed that we actually do get a launch today. We will see. Mr. Cobra 83, this is literally one of the questions I wanted to talk about, assuming we had more than 10 minutes, and especially after I was excited about today's talk because I have a feeling it's hopefully going to be a little bit more rooted in like the actual plan for landing on Mars. Like, what's the actual plan? What are we doing? How are we doing this? And actually, ironically, this is what my speech is about that I wrote for the Brownsville speech tomorrow. But I was hoping to hear a little bit from Elon at the company talk today about what's the plan? Are we sending up some robots up there? Are we landing? Are we trying to do refueling demos? Are we trying to do ISRU, in situ resource utilization? Are we just hoping for some entry, descent, landing, data? What are we doing? What are we doing? What is Mars? Why Mars? That's what I was hoping for. And yeah, honestly, Optimus is, I think, a valid option for sending a bunch of relatively inexpensive robots. If you think about a Mars rover, previously has been $1 billion to launch a 1-ton rover. You could probably send up, I don't know, thousands of Optimus robots. Like realistically, you could probably send up, a dozen at first, and it'd be relatively inexpensive, right? So, yeah, that's a question that I have for myself. Princess Layup. I hope this is a basketball reference. I don't know. Princess Layup. Will you stay live for the presentation after launch? I'd stay. So we don't plan to stream it. I don't know the times. We were there on site for it. I don't know if that offer extends now that it moved. If it does, I would love to go there. I would love to see it in person. I think there's a lot of energy there. So that'd be my preference. Oh, producer Andrew telling me I think it's a play on Princess Leia. Princess Layup. I like it. I like that a lot. That's great. KDU, what happens if they completely blow up Pad A with a failed catch? Well, luckily that won't be today because they're not even going for a catch today at all. So there's no situation, hopefully. I mean, I can't say no situation in which the pad won't blow up from a failed catch because everything is statistically possible that somehow something would happen and for some reason it'd fail. Its fail mode would be like, oopsies, I lost control. Whoa, I'm falling back towards the... No, I mean, it's just basically impossible. But they're not going for a catch attempt today. But I'll answer this question anyway. What would happen if they did fail a catch? So by the time the booster is coming back down, its biggest enemy is its kinetic energy. So if it doesn't light its engines at least to slow down a lot of that, that's a lot of energy. You're talking about a 200 ton vehicle traveling at hundreds of kilometers an hour, or terminal velocity is probably 300 or 400 kilometers an hour. That's a lot of kinetic energy. Plus propellant on board, that. So if they even light the engines and begin to light the engines and slow it down a little bit, that removes some of the energy from the equation in a sense that it would do less damage to the pad. So let's say for some reason it came and just was a kinetic impactor, it'd be very bad. It would do a lot of damage, potentially even a lot of damage to Pad A. But in that case, if the engines don't light, the booster can't really even make it over to the pad. So it'd crash pretty much like at the end of the beach. That's why they do that like dog leg. It comes in short and then it has to use its engines to propulsively like power slide over into the tower. And so that's good. That's working towards it. Let's say that they do slow it down and it's going towards the pad in a future catch and something happens and it blows up. By that point, most of the energy from the system is removed in the form of kinetic energy, at least. Now we're just talking about, a few tens of, 10, 20, 30 tons of propellant, residual propellant that has the potential to blow up. It wouldn't be that much different than, SN8, SN9. We're not talking about like a nuke going off. It'd be a fireball. It'd be potentially a small detonation, but it wouldn't level the whole area. The tower would very likely still be standing. It would need repairs. Some of the wiring and stuff would probably get blown off and stuff. But I don't think it's as in SpaceX style. It's like, oh well, we can build this, fix it back up in 2 months. Who cares? We saw that with Pad A before it even had the water deluge. People thought like, oh well, the whole pad blew up. We are now not going to fly for a year and a half, and it flew 6 months later. With an entirely new water deluge system. It's crazy the pace. When I got to see the Star Factory today, I absolutely could not believe that the last time I walked through there was only a year ago, because it is a fully operational rocket factory. It's unbelievable. I didn't recognize that the offices are incredible. I mean, I've hardly ever seen a building of any scale go up that speed. Like when there's commercial projects in my hometown in Iowa where you watch them be built and it'll take 2 years and it still has things that are being worked on. This was like a year and the offices are beautiful. It's immaculate. It's like it's futuristic, like the nicest bathrooms in all of Brownsville. I mean, in all of Texas. It's unbelievable. So I wouldn't be surprised if if they lost Pad A, boom, they get Pad B going. Obviously, again, not today, but hypotheticals. That was too long of an answer. Leviathan 51. Best decision to make it a city. Crazy cool. It will be the capital of the world one day. Realistic. I guess if you think about it, if they really are launching stuff to Mars, and it starts to become that will be a pretty vital city. Would be the city of Starbase, Texas. Kind of crazy. Balcorec says, I wonder if there are any plans to get rid of hot staging. I don't think so. I think they're really happy with what they're seeing so far with hot staging. It's been way more successful, I think, than most of us ever thought. And it's highly performant. It's the most efficient way of staging a rocket. You don't have any coasting period. So it's multifold. One, you don't have coasting, so you don't have gravity loss. You don't have times where you're not accelerating. You don't have the big one, though. Actually, I think the biggest one in case of booster landing at near MECO, especially. The booster is more or less horizontal. It's trying to gain a lot of horizontal velocity. It's accelerating horizontally. Every second that you're accelerating, and every second, even let's say that you stop, turn off the engines, it's already traveling at 3,000 kilometers an hour, or whatever it is, 5,000 kilometers. It's really going fast. It's already going a quarter of the speed of orbital velocity. So if you're coasting for 10 seconds and then you relight your engines and you have to make up that difference, you have to cancel out those 10 seconds of going at the fastest that the booster ever goes. So you have further to go to get back to the landing pad. So the shorter, the more, the steeper your present, the steeper your ascent, the more lofty your trajectory, the less downrange the booster goes, the less work it has to do to get back to the landing pad. So if you are physically even talking about seconds of coasting and not wasting those seconds and turning around as quickly as humanly or machinely possible, then that's the right way to do it. That is absolutely the way to go, is hot staging. And seeing that they're going to be integrating the hot staging ring onto the new boosters is awesome. So hopefully that answers that question. By the way, shout out to our incredible views, because I love that we are still able to stream in 4K. Everyone say thank you to the Cosmic Perspective team. Ryan and Andrew, we're really working on this one alone, basically deploying cameras for 2 days now. And that's never fun when it's only 87. It's only 87. Sorry, what is that, 40 something degrees Celsius. It's only that. It's still pretty wild out here, and rain and formidable weather that made it hard for me even to get down. I ended up getting in at 5 a.m. After full day of flight delays and sharing an Uber for 3 hours, cramped in the back seat with some new friends. Yeah, it was wild. Don't recommend, but shout out everyone to Cosmic Perspective crew for getting this all set up, and to our production crew with Spencer and Andrew running it. We've got some remote trackers that we're going to be operating here through the show, which I love. Those are some of the best things. I'm a little sad that we're not seeing a catch today, because watching it come back and tracking it come back is very, very satisfying. So let's see. We do have wait, how many? Oh, yeah, because we have also Andrew, Rocket Future Andrew. We have 3 Andrews on crew today. That's a lot. That's a lot of Andrews. Well, everyone say, good luck, Andrews, and thank you for all your help, Andrews. Oh, this is inside. Here's the inside of the trailer. There's our remote operators. We got Spencer on the left and Andrew on the right. They're going to be moving the cameras around and hopefully giving us some great views on Ascent. So, yeah, we're doing it. We're doing it. Yeah. Okay, so this is from Tigger Boy 0301. A question for Tim. We know that SpaceX likes to rapidly innovate, but at what point will they need to freeze Starship for human flight rating? I think we're a long ways away from that. I think we're still, I think it's going to be done differently. I think by the time they fly humans on Starship, from liftoff to orbit on Starship, it'll have flown hundreds of times. And just in that alone, I don't know if they'll ever have to do a freeze, because they'll very likely be like, yeah, this particular rocket has actually already flown 7 times, you know? So I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I think things are going to be different by the time we're to that maturity level, by the time we're seeing that maturity level out of Starship. We're just very far away from that right now. We are very far away from seeing Starship fly humans right now. And that's okay. You know, it's a matter of, there's milestones. I've said this for years now, and I hope that you guys keep this in your head. People ask me a lot of questions about when, and I hate answering when. When is like the worst question for something like this, where you're seeing things iterate at this pace, and just all the big unknowns, all the big unknowns, all the big setbacks, and all the big leaps forward, and the ramp up that you don't see coming, and it's just impossible. So I like to look at milestones. Right now, the big milestone is getting version 2 through the atmosphere and testing its heat shield tiles and testing its overall design. Next, we'll be getting into orbit. Then we got to see if they can catch and reuse a ship and reuse a full vehicle, ship and booster. Then we got to see if they can do refueling and orbital refueling and docking and rendezvous. If you ask me personally when I think those are, I hope we see orbit this year for sure. I mean, if that would be disappointing if we don't see. I was expecting orbit on, potentially even flight 8 or 9. So hopefully we see orbit soon. Beyond that, I hope that we even see a catch attempt for ship, maybe by the end of the year. I don't know. We'll see how this goes. Again, it's milestones. I hate even injecting anything beyond that, because it depends on what's happening next, what's happening with this flight, what happens with the next flight, what happens milestone. And only after X amount of milestones can we even talk about going to Mars. Because Mars, you can't just launch this rocket as is to Mars. You cannot do it. It cannot physically get to Mars. You could not, there's no situation in which the hardware sitting above that hot staging ring can get to Mars in one shot right now, or ever, period. Because the upper stage is the second stage of the vehicle, so it has to use propellant to get itself into orbit. So by the time it's in low Earth orbit, it's more or less, depending on whatever margins and payload capacity and total orbital altitude and all that stuff, it's more or less out of fuel. And it carries roughly 1,200 tons of propellant. So if you need to refuel it in order to get to Mars, which, spoiler alert, you basically do. I don't know how full it has to be, how the margins, how much payload you're trying to land on Mars, are you trying to come back from Mars, et cetera, et cetera. You basically have to fill it back up. And if it's 1,200 tons and your LEO capacity is, let's say, 100 tons to LEO, that's going to be 12 launches to refuel it. That's just physics. That's just what it looks like. But the thing that I think a lot of people miss when they talk about it, when you hear maybe even politicians talk about or people going, well, it's going to take 12 launches? or they might say 12 rockets to launch this. It's like, no, this could actually be done with one rocket. That's the difference. Is it might take 12 launches, but it shouldn't take 12 rockets. Very shouldn't take, just because of the nature of reusability. And that's the big difference. So yeah, it might take a lot of launches, but at the end of the day, if you're not throwing away hardware, who cares how many launches it takes? It'll be cheaper than throwing away even one rocket. From Daniel's station. Daniel, good to hear from you. Thank you for hanging out with us in Discord. Tim, I really hope the ship makes it to at least Seco. Anyway, best of luck with the rest of the stream. Thank you so much, Daniel's station. That is your friendly reminder that we have an amazing Discord community. I've been having to share some... I've been leaning on them for moral support lately. I've been going through some grinds in the last couple of weeks, so it's been amazing to just be in there and have support. But leading up to launch streams like this and stuff, and in launch streams, we got the Discord open, reading, checking in with everybody. And half the time I have to rely on Discord to help me figure out an answer quick while I'm on air. So if you do want to join Discord, we have that available through Patreon, patreon.com/everydayastronaut, which I just found out recently did fix their pricing models with Apple. So if you happen to be a Patreon supporter previously, you got hit with that like weird Apple thing from the App Store, that is no longer the case. Big win for creators. Big win. So yeah, patreon.com/everydayastronaut really goes a long way. So thank you. Let's see here. This is from Rustlin. Did they change anything in the second stage, or will we see another boom? They changed a few things. Basically, they think they actually had fixed the harmonic resonant issue on flight 7. Flight 8's failure was literally basically just a sea level Raptor went and boom, it had a failure. And what the root cause of the failure necessarily is, they weren't very specific to what caused it to rud. Zach Golden from CSI Starbase had of course, as always, an incredibly deep rundown on potentially Pogo related issues. It's not clear if that's the exact cause. Harmonic resonances can be longitudinal and latitudinal, z-axis and x and y-axis. Either or, all the above, all of it's shaking, all of it's going nuts. So what the exact cause of the sea level Raptor to fail, I don't have the answer to that. But yeah, it's I think a lot of what Zach was talking about is there's still especially the end summary of Zach's video is basically like the best way they can figure out if they fixed it or not is to fly it. That's the reality. Of course, working with the FAA, working with other things, we did see a little bit of a more expanded and cautious flight exclusion zone. So hopefully we don't have any flight delays if the vehicle does happen to rut again, if we do see another failure. Yeah, I like how it's a rack post. Hey, that's kind of cool. That was sick. Little artsy rack focus shot on a live stream. Who are we? All right. We definitely did. I'm hearing now we 100% meant that was 1000% intentional and fun. Viewers at home, huge thumbs up. But anyway, I don't remember what I was saying. Cool stuff, neat stuff, fun stuff. The best way of really truly figuring out if they did fix it and if they fixed it, period, is to fly it. That's still the SpaceX way. I know it feels like, some people might feel like it's reckless. Some people might feel like it's like the iterative designing doesn't really work out. But if you have a factory cranking these things out, who cares? Hardware is cheap, compared to, they're not building one-off rockets that come out of the line every 2 or 3 years. They're building rockets at a scale and at a pace that has never been done before outside of like early Cold War, tiny little, ICBMs that were being cranked out pretty fast. But this at this scale, we've never seen anything like this. And flying it is honestly one of the best ways to figure it out. Fly. F it, fly it, Fifi. From Dina Krob says, missed you. Let's light some big candles. Thank you so much, Dima. Great to hear from you. This is from Tyler Matthew Harris. Thank you so much. $50 super chat. Let's go, party people. Thank you so much, Tyler. Really, really appreciate that support. You're amazing. This is from Brian Clausen. Go Starship. Go Tim. I do need it. I'm on almost no sleep. So thank you so much for the personal support. But also, yeah, this is a big one for SpaceX. This is from Chris J. Did you see anything that looked like HLS in the factory? No. Unfortunately, no. Not yet. The stuff like that, they're probably, I don't have any idea. I want to see HLS hardware so bad, honestly. Maybe someday. I really hope that there's physical hardware that's being constructed, because HLS is supposed to be flying relatively soon. The HLS, by the way, is the human landing system. It's the lander for one of the 2 landers for the Artemis program. It is vital that we start seeing that hardware come to life if we want to see humans not only like just casually land on the moon like the Apollo program, where they're there for at most 3 days. If we want to see 100 times let's see, when it landed. Well, the fully fueled lander was 15 tons or 16 tons, whatever it was, for the Apollo program. Landed dry mass, or what it landed mass after the descent stage is basically burnout. It's 7 tons or whatever, something like that. So the most we've landed on the moon is around, 6, 7, 8 tons. I don't remember what exact number it is. You can find out that number by going to Everyday Astronaut's YouTube channel and finding your complete how do we know we went to the moon video. I do go over every single one of those numbers with a fine-tooth comb. But I don't remember. 7, 8 tons, whatever it is, landed on the moon. Starship landed on the moon will be hundreds of tons. So at least 10x the actual mass, and 100 times the volume at least. It's going to be absolutely a different league of vehicle. So I want to see that hardware. I want to get humans back on the moon. I want to live in a time where humans are walking on the moon, and I'm here on Earth watching them walk on the moon live in 4K. Please give that to me. Please, 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 please. Mr. Cobra 83, even though I don't want Starship to explode, but she is so beautiful in the sky when she does. It's sad but true. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Let's see here. This is M Curious, or Marius, I think is actually how we're supposed to say this question. What's this on the floor below the bridge of the talk with Elon? Probably aren't allowed to say. Actually, all it is I think I know what you're talking about. Was that in our Discord channel? That was in our Discord channel. Here, hang on. I'll look at exactly what you're referencing. I think I know. I think that's literally just a panel, one of the like pedals, we'll call it, for the nose cone. The nose cone is in those like pedal shapes. They taper up to the top, so it forms a cone when you put them all together. I think that's literally just one either with the cover on or where they lay the next ones down. That's like the jib right next to the nose cone builder. Yeah, hopefully that answers it. This is from Snoop with a few extra O's. Love to see it. Hi, Tim. Just wanted to say thanks for all you do. Your content has inspired me to pursue a degree in aerospace engineering. Go Starship. That is so awesome. I sat on the plane last night with a young man who just started working at SpaceX. Now he didn't necessarily watch my videos ahead of time, so I can't brag about that. But it was really inspiring still to just talk, to someone young, 23 years old, who's going to be working on vehicles that hopefully will get humans to Mars someday. It was really fun. So, yeah, I enjoyed that conversation and with his dad as well, who happened to be the founder of Napster, which was the most random coincidence in the world. It was fun making new friends. Ziggy wants to know, am I there in person? Yes, I am. This is Mars Studio B here, coming live to you just out 5 miles from the rockets, 8 kilometers. Yeah, I'll step outside when it gets closer. By the way, as far as we're still a little ways away from actual prop load, but we do see, the venting there at the bottom of the pad, which is a good sign that they're, spinning up the tank farm. They're starting to chill things down. They're starting to ramp up, to get ready for launch. So these are all good signs that things are moving forward, but we won't see prop load until T-minus basically 51 minutes and 37 seconds. And at which point, you know, in about 45 minutes, you'll probably hear a little bit less talking from me, as I'll be wanting to listen into the stream and make sure we're not missing any vital information that we get from the actual SpaceX reporters. But meanwhile, I'm just happy to be bringing you guys 4K views of all this stuff. Like I said, you're seeing condensers condensing, you're seeing propellant get chilled down, you're seeing lines get chilled down. You have to cool the lines all the way down to the rocket. They do that with nitrogen, and that cools the lines down, gets rid of any moisture. You don't want any water ice in there because that can build up and block things and be very bad. So you purge it with nitrogen, that cools it down too. That's what we're seeing right now. We're seeing the system come to life to prepare to fill the rocket with all that beautiful liquid gold. Let's see here. This is from Hades wants to know, will there even be a second New Glenn launch this year? I'm hoping so. I'm hoping. We haven't heard any different, but I do think they're still targeting a second New Glenn launch this year, which is Blue Origin's super heavy lift vehicle. It's a big boy. That vehicle was leapfrogging Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy. Kind of sits in operational like power and capacity between Starship and Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy. It's a big boy. It's a big one. Konana, hoping for a successful launch tonight with successful payload deployment. That's the big one. I really do. I do want to see dummy Starlinks get plopped out of that toaster little slot and go flying off into space. That'll be awesome. I said this on the first time they were maybe going to deploy, on the first V2 version 2 Starship, they were trying to deploy dummy Starlinks, and I was like, I hope one of them has a camera. Because can you imagine that view? Like, of seeing Starship from a different vantage point, like seeing a vehicle from a different vantage point like that while it's in space would be awesome. So I have hope for that. I've never heard anything if that's going to be true, but one can hope. This is from Hytrolium. Are these shots shot by your team, and who are they from? Yes, these are our cameras that we set out. We have this whole infrastructure that we've built out over the past 4 years, basically, to be able to transmit 4K video over miles and miles, or kilometers and kilometers, or 1.6 times these X amount of miles that I'm talking about, all over the place. And we transmit back in actual 4K, pixel to pixel, from glass photons into your eyeballs. It's in 4K going through a real production trailer that can house 6 people, 6 operators. Actually, probably more like 7, because we actually have another little replay desk that we're probably going to have to build to run some shows. But this gives you a sense of like our cameras, how we're running this. It's quite a big production, and this is the culmination of years and years and years, and quite literally hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars of hardware and time. So I actually have had by the way, you can also see the ghost director in this shot as well. We did hire a ghost, very good at operating. Sometimes the ghost has a hard time pushing the buttons because it goes right through the table. Don't know how the director sits. I never quite understood that. The director can sit in the chair, but the hands go through the table, so I don't know what the medium is that they're. I don't know. Anyway, that's a look at how we run this show. There's a team of a lot of people, pretty much a minimum of 5 or 6 to operate this show. So that's why your support is so greatly appreciated, because it is quite literally like a full operation. It's ridiculous. So I hope you guys do enjoy the high quality views. From Daniel Cox, glad to have you back live streaming in 4K. Me too. Thank you so much, Daniel. Speaking of all that support, for your support and 56 months of membership. That is awesome. This is from Drac Richards. Can't wait. Don't forget, Pointy end up flaming it down. Check, please, Tim. Thank you for the reminder. This might not be a bad shot. I don't know what shot we should. Maybe we should just do a full. We were talking about cameras. We're talking about Pointy end up flaming it down. Maybe we should do a camera check for what's online. We still have a few that will come online closer to launch, but maybe we do a little round robin of our cameras, starting off with the pointiest of ends, right up there at the pointy tip of Starship S35 version 2. You can see the pointy end is up. And here comes one flamey end there. Flamey middle, pointy end up, flamey middle, flamey end. We're about to find out. About to find out. And pointy end up, flamey end down. So it is confirmed, unless we have some of our cables mixed around. Nope, this shot confirms it. Pointy end is up, flamey end is down. As far as I'm concerned, the orientation check is at least complete. So there you go. There you go. This is from the Ant. Did you see the integrated hot staging ring? Why was the presentation delayed? We don't actually, no idea genuinely why the presentation was delayed. If I were making my guess, my personal guess, totally just thinking about it, I wouldn't be surprised if Elon or probably Elon, he tends to make these kind of calls, goes, hey, let's wait until after the launch so that if we have good news to share, I think he didn't want to give this big inspirational speech, which sounds like it's mostly going to be about Mars. And then if there happened to be a failure, like that would just be total energy kill. So I think he's hoping to ride off the success of Flight 8 and hoping that it all works out as planned, get everyone together for a big, hurrah. And I think that's more what they're aiming for. So we'll see if that happens. In which case that would be a lot of fun. And I would understand why you'd want to do that. So let's see here. Is this Starship intended to go to orbit? Asks Steven XDD. Nope. This one is not going to orbit, just shy of orbit, similar to previous flights that were in orbit-ish. This does say orbital, but going orbit-ish. I need a shirt that says orbit-ish, but yeah, that's not what. By the way, someone did ask, I saw it on our subreddit once, actually. Someone was asking, like, what's with the orbital shirt design? Like, it has to mean something. They're like, Tim doesn't just make shirts that are, like, just cool designs. And frankly, this one's basically just that. It's a cool design. However, it does have little nerdy details. You actually do see, we wrote out all the different orbital velocities for low Earth orbit, medium Earth orbit, all the different things. So if you do need a cheat sheet for, like, what's low Earth orbit? How do I get more in focus? Forward. There we go. Geostationary orbit, lunar translunar injection. Also, it is puffy paint. I feel like I never talk about that. Did you guys remember puff paint from like the 90s? I'm old enough to remember when like shirts, like those and one shirts and stuff, all those cool shirts were puff paint. And I was like, I want this in puff paint. So it's actually puff paint, which I think is very sick. Anyway, you can find that shirt at everydayastronaut.com/shop. Shop around. Get that shirt. Get yourself Methalox shirt collection and socks for 25% off, exclusive today. No code necessary. We're trying to make things easy on you. And also get yourself our brand new Mercury Redstone, Mercury Atlas set, the second set of our 1/100 scale. By the way, we also, yes, you are right. We also do actually have the Falcon 9 model rockets back in stock, finally. So if you have been waiting to get your own metal Falcon 9 model rocket, like we have around here somewhere, I don't even know where mine is, you can get that, everydayastronaut.com/shop. Support the channel, get something fun for yourself. And by the way, if you're European, wait. Don't, especially on the rockets. The rocket shipping is insane. We know this. We've been working on it. We're finally getting a European warehouse. We're finally, those will be on their way in the next month or something. Hopefully we have it set up this summer. We'll have European shipping. So hold off if you're from Europe. If you're from the United States, get on these, because we're actually shipping a different set to there. So we're almost, like I said, we're literally almost sold out of our Mercury Atlas, Mercury Redstone rockets. So get on it if you want to get some to the same scale as the Falcon 9. It's a lot of fun. Anyway, look at that's the next question from Andre. I don't know if that's how you actually say it, but what about European warehouse anytime soon? Yes, like I said, just happened to be finishing that this summer. We will be shipping from Europe to Europe, and that will be huge. This is from Ben. Says, hey, Tim, can you tell Drew, I'm not sure who exactly Drew is. Are we thinking Ryan? To remember to keep the booster in frame when he's tracking. It's the part where the flames come out just in case he can't find it. Or is that about Andrew? That might be about one of our other Andrews. In case he can't find it. Happy launch day. That is definitely the goal, is to keep the vehicle in frame. Ryan especially has a very hard job because he's shooting at 2,400 millimeters equivalent from very, very, very close, and keeping, like the slightest movements of your hands when tracking like that with the robotic trackers we have is like almost impossible. And luckily he's shooting at 800 frames a second in 4K, in raw 4K, huge files. We're talking like each launch is over a terabyte. And so the good thing is, like, even if he only gets about 2 seconds of a certain angle or whatever, it can be several minutes at that speed of slow-mo. So tracking is awesome, and I absolutely love the shots that we get from these launches. Do you think tonight's launch, if it does not get scrubbed, success or RUD? Guys, I said it for Flight 7. I said it for Flight 8. And I'm going to triple down and go with I think it's going to be a success. I'm going to chef up something a little special for you guys today. I'm going to put some spicy ingredients into my pot of gold and serve up something delicious. And I'm going to go with one word: success. That's my guess. Success. I'm an optimist. I hope. I really, really hope. All right. So this is from Jeff Aru. Do you think the closed off vents of the hot staging ring could lead to an overpressure? So let's see if we can zoom in on the hot staging ring. Do any of our cameras have views of that closed off section? I think one of them you could see it, although it might be on the. Is it on the heat shield side where the booster ring is closed? So at least if we can get a shot of the hot staging ring nice and tight. So the hot staging ring, obviously between the top of the booster, bottom of Starship, there's a ring because of the hot staging event they do where they light the engines of the upper stage. Okay, look, you can actually see it there. This is perfect. You can see a bunch of holes, solid. Holes, right? So that they're purposely filled that in to have a place for the hot gas to react against, to help aid the booster in its flip. They're trying to make a perfect orientation for the booster. Now, I did, you might ask, why wouldn't they cut holes out of the backside of Starship to add some extra venting, add a little bit of space for some of that hot gas to go? The answer is holes actually make things heavier, because now you have to take all that force and go around an opening, and that actually ends up adding more mass to be structurally sound. So holes are heavy. Remember that. That's backwards physics Friday. Today's Tuesday. But yeah, holes make things heavy. And so the trellis frame is about as efficient. What we see out of that new hot staging ring that's integrated is about as lightweight of a way you can do it, and which is why we've seen it on vehicles previously, like the N1, the Proton, Soyuz. Use that beautiful, kind of trellis. There's another word for it that I'm missing right now. Not trellis framing. There's also, I can't think of the word. Another word for it. But yeah, it is more mass efficient than just kind of punching holes out and strengthening where those were. So what was I saying? What were we asking? Will there be an overpressure? I'm sure they have calculated and have enough data now to know. It's really just an area thing. It's how much gas is coming out at what pressure. You could just add up all the area of all the exit nozzles, all the exit area of all three of the sea level engines at least, and just make sure that you have at least that. I mean, you don't even need at least that. You can have a slight buildup of pressure. As soon as they detach, that pressure goes down immediately because the gap increases and the local pressure will drop instantly. So even I'll bet by the time that the Raptors have actually spooled up and are firing, it's already opened up a decent amount. So I'm sure they've run those calculations. I don't expect an overpressure event. I don't think they would have done it if they thought that was the case. Brandon Aerospace, do you think we'll see another period of failures after this introduction of V3 or V4, whichever is actually next? That type of stuff is so hard to answer because no one knows. These are unknown unknowns. And when they're iterating at this pace, making such big, drastic changes so constantly, I just have no idea. And I hope not. I hope that from here on out, we're getting more and more mature vehicles. We're getting, tighter and tighter integrations. We're getting more and more operational and potentially fully reusable rockets. And the days of just kind of, I don't know. I hope. I'm an optimist. I'm always like, I hope that from now on we're moving forward. And sometimes you take a couple steps back. Flight 7 and Flight 8 taught me a hard, sad lesson. Flight 8, like I said, that stung. That stung a decent amount. And like, I'm not even on the program. I don't even work on Starship. I imagine those failures are not very fun for the company. But they're unknowns crop up. Shane Malloy, thank you so much for 64 months of membership. Thank you very much. Over 5 years. Last launch, my first son was young. He's since outgrown his normal newborn shirt, but he'll still be watching today. Keep up your amazing work. Thank you so much, Shane. That's awesome. I love that you have made rockets and spaceflight a family event. That's fantastic. That really brings a smile to my face. Digital Arts and Media, Tim, for every launch, you are the only channel I ever choose to watch. You are Mr. Space for me. Thank you for all your content. Thank you so much, Digital Arts and Media. I'm sorry that I don't cover everything these days. I've kind of just made it the reality is, for me, is when I first started this YouTube channel in 2017, there were only maybe like 7 launches or whatever to even cover that year, right? There was only a small handful. And they were exciting. They were novel. We were seeing, booster landing and reuse and all these new things that were scary and unique. And that's what made me want to share. I wanted to talk about that stuff. I don't want to talk about things that I'm not excited about. I don't want to be disingenuous and just pull up a stream just to be like, yep, here we go. When I stream, I want it to be stuff that I care about. A program that I care about, and not that I don't care about I miss a lot. I'm trying to travel less. I say that, and I'm in the middle of travel right now. Like, I want to travel less and be able to, have a predictable schedule, but rockets are anything but predictable. Woo! That almost looks like a liftoff test with how fast that was. Hey, I always pay attention. No, I don't. I rarely pay attention. I happen to be paying attention right when he did that. But yeah, I appreciate that. I rely on other streamers. Half the time it's NSF or Lab Padre to cover some stuff, and then a lot of times we'll just casually tune in, on the couch or something and just watch. But for this stuff, this just makes me really excited and hopeful. I want a future where we have super heavy lift capabilities that are fully rapidly reusable and have the capability of making humans multiplanetary. That's what I signed up for as a spaceflight fan. That's what gets me really excited, is that potential. And I think this is our best shot of doing that better than ever before. And pretty crazy. Let's see here. I'm realizing that I'm missing out some really big donations. I should probably catch up to a couple of these. Sorry, I've been answering a lot of the questions in our queue. Remember, you don't have to super chat, but I surely do appreciate it. So that being said, let me answer and read this one that was very generous from Tyler Matthew Harris. Great to hear from you. Currently watching from Devil's Tower. No way, with Starlink. That is amazing. In Wyoming. I came across, it's Wyoming, right? Yeah, Wyoming. I came across a wise wizard on the trail. He confirms today's launch will be a success. A wise wizard? I hope this is true. I hope everything you just said, Tyler, is dead true. And that is amazing. That is so cool that you're watching via Starlink. I used Starlink. I was out on a road trip doing some camping, doing some work out at Vandenberg too, and had Starlink like literally with me at all times, and it provided me communication with my family when I'm in the middle of nowhere, and it really is game changing. That is a technology that changes our lives on Earth, and yeah. So thank you so much for even checking in. This is a total tangent, but everyone say hi to Brian from Real Engineering. He said, Tim, check your phone. It's important. And because he sent it, we're putting it on air. Brian from Real Engineering with, if this is your new hair, man, we're all in for a treat. I know he's not always the audio. You mostly hear his voice if you're familiar with Real Engineering, which I'm a huge fan of Brian's videos, but also a fan of Brian, the person. And I've never seen this look on him, and now you all have. That's what you get for sending it to me while I'm live on air, Brian. Congratulations on starting a boy band. Can I be in it? I think Joe Bernard. Let's do the three of us. Me, you, Joe Bernard. I know that was not proper English, but let's do it. Start a boy band. I'm trying to get to some. Like I said, I missed a lot of super chats, and I am very thankful for those. Let me get caught back up on those, and then I'll get back to answering as many questions as I can. Here we go. Mr. Cobra, again, 83, says, nuclear-powered Optimus robot on Mars in 2026. See, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I was hoping today's talk is about. It's like, hey, we got this plan. Here's power generation. Here's the robots we're going to be using. Here's where we're going to land. Maybe it is that. Maybe that still is the talk, but maybe they're just waiting to make sure that today's flight is a success, which is only T-minus 1 hour and 26 minutes. Woo! This is from Dino Track. Thank you so much for your generous donation. This is from Julian Wharton with a pair character. Thank you so much for the emote. I know those don't quite show up on air in the same way, but thank you so much for that donation. So this is from Bradley. I'm just going with a random question. Has there been any progress on the orbital launch tower at 39A? Yes-ish, no. Yes, no. Not really, but yes. There's some work happening now at the production site that looks like indications of potentially a new, kind of the actual launch mount portion of the tower. Things have been on hold. Again, remember, they've made these mistakes before of starting something before they know it's a validated design, and they're happy to scrap stuff. They're happy to throw stuff up, tear stuff down. We've seen that with high bay, medium bay, low bay, mega bays. I mean, just things getting, up to meet the demands of now and then scrapped and blah, 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 blah. That happens all the time. The pad at 39A might have been a little bit premature because they need to make sure that the new pad B, the new pad that we're going to see off to the right now as this zooms out, as it continues to zoom out, there's the new pad with a massively different launch mount. So the OLM on that, the orbital launch mount, is very different on pad B compared to pad A. A lot of videos out there talking about that. If you want to learn more about that, like I said, CSI Starbase, probably the best source on that stuff. I know that NSF has produced a few videos about it. I'll probably wait until it's done to see if we have anything really exciting that hasn't been talked about, or a quick little, shorts or something, little overview. But pad B, we're starting to see what might be indications of pad B, going online, new hardware being built, preparing it for 39A. We will see. This is from Heart of America, FPV. Will we get an entry sonic boom even off the shore in Port Isabel? Likely to be visible. Yes, visible, and yes, you will likely hear a sonic boom. We even hear a sonic boom just from the booster ring, just from the hot staging ring. We hear that even on a nominal, like the tower catch, you still hear the booster, the ring splashing down, and that splashes down even further out. So the booster will still make a sonic boom, even though it's not being caught today. Again, Alex asking if we have any info on why the talk was postponed. Pure speculation on my end, but I it feels like they decided they wanted to wait until after the launch, or specifically, it kind of seems like maybe Elon wanted to wait until after the launch. We have no information. Look at that. We have a Grackle, a friend, making good use of somebody's camera that is probably getting triggered right now, because that is a MyOps sound trigger on that poor camera right there. So that's why, as launch photographers, so what happens, these triggers like that, they'll hit a threshold. There's you set a threshold for how loud something needs to be, or some of them have like light sensors or other sensors for lightning and things like that. But how loud, is a threshold, and if something lands on it and hits it, lots of times it'll trigger, false trigger. Sometimes trucks driving by can, loud machinery or construction or rain can set them off, and you end up with like hundreds of frames of nothing and your battery dies. There's another example of a thing that can cause a remote operated, well, not remote operated, but a remote sound sensing still camera to just shoot a bunch of frames of nothing because a grackle bird can land on it and cause havoc. From Andrea Raymond, an 80 euro. Thank you so much, Tim. I'm a space engineer and a big fan of yours. I've heard that you are looking for partners for the Not a Coaster production. Well, I happen to be a founding associate of a 3D printing company full of other space nerds. Well, okay. I'm saving this, and this we'll talk because we'll just talk. I would like to get back into making something like that. Have to see how the 3D printing looks, as I don't want it to just be, regular additive manufacturing. Like our rockets are injection molded, so they're really high detail. What's the one where it comes out of like the goo, like Terminator that kind of 3D printing? That's sick. If it's like that would be high enough. Resin. I think the answer I'm looking for, thank you, producer Andrew, is resin is what he's looking for. Yes. Like if it's something like that could actually be sick. Bobby Craig, thank you so much for your membership. 1 month anniversary. Congratulations and thank you. This is from AS Drums. Really good question. I'm sorry, I got distracted. We'll get back to this. We have to share another photo from Discord. From Maddie Sierra in Discord. Shared this image, which cracks me up. Wait, I thought this is from the launch pad. I just realized this is not at all from the launch pad, but it's just an impact crater. I don't know if you see. I put this up there for you, Andrew, in my side screen. That cracks me up. Impact crater from the. Yeah, I'm showing you a bunny impact crater that is cracking me up. I don't know why. That just made me laugh. Anyway, that can go away now. Let's finish answering the question. From AS Drums, do you think SpaceX is ever going to create a ship and booster that is bigger in diameter, or will they just continue to make them taller? So I think we'll see it go. Objectively, we'll see it go taller first before we see it get wider. But eventually, if they're reaching local limits of like, hey, this is as fine of a rocket, like that's the ratio of height to the ratio of height to diameter, or height to width is your fineness ratio. Falcon 9 is extremely fine. It's the finest rocket, technically. Starship, if you extend it to that, it has a lot of room to grow vertically, and that's the easiest as far as you already have a launch mount, you already have all these tooling, all these machines, all the transport that are all meant for this 9-meter wide diameter, 30-foot wide diameter. So the question is, at what point is it worth it to make it wider? At what point is it almost starting over? Now, the good thing is a lot of the lessons learned in manufacturing in the Raptor engines, you could basically just do another ring of Raptor engines, make it a 12-meter wide vehicle, and drastically increase the volume, and increased volume with increased thrust. It scales up very well in that sense that, like, this vehicle, I say easily, relatively easily, can scale up because of the form factor of Raptor, the fact that they can basically just pop Raptors and to fill up as much surface area, circumference area as the vehicle, the circle area, there's a circle. How many other circles can you put inside that circle? Right now, the answer is about 33. We think they can go for 35 eventually. So if you make a wider vehicle, you can increase thrust, you can increase propellant capacity, you can increase performance. But at what point is it time to do that? How often are you flying? What's the bottleneck? What's the investment? Now, by the way, we do see tower venting a little bit there. And we are no longer seeing major vents from the OLM. So we're still looking good. I'm excited for this. I want to see launch today. That's the tower vent right there. I just realized our camera view, that was not from the OLM that was venting earlier. That was just, so this is tower venting, chilling the lines, getting ready for ship loading of propellant, which is the first thing to do. So that's looking good. That's looking good. I need some good news in my life. I need a good launch today. Let's answer some more questions. This is from Titus Alex. Booster versus, so super heavy booster versus Saturn V. 5 F1 engines versus 33 Raptors. Pros and cons. I feel like I did talk about that a little bit in a video once. I don't remember which one. I think it was actually Falcon 9 versus Starship. I talked a little bit about this. The pros are, there's a little bit of a bathtub curve, right? Of fewer engines potentially means less failure points, right? But you're more susceptible when there is a failure if you have fewer engines. If, especially at liftoff, if you lose one of the 5 engines powering your vehicle, you're very likely not making it to orbit. Like, unless you have a ton of margin, like a ludicrous amount of margin. A good example would be Astra's rocket that had one engine go out, and its thrust to weight ratio was exactly 1, and it just power slid straight sideways, conveniently between the gap and a fence, and it was the most epic thing ever. But it obviously did not have anywhere near, it wasted a lot of energy doing that, and didn't have near the thrust to weight ratio to get into orbit. If you lose one of 33 Raptor engines, you're only losing about 3% of your thrust versus 20% of your thrust. And so it can continue, and we've actually seen engine failures in flight on the booster that have not cascaded, has not caused a failure. We've seen engines not relight. No big deal. There's margins. There's redundancy there. As long as they have, some form of, catastrophic mitigation, like cascading mitigation failure, where you have one engine knock out another engine, knock out another engine, you know what I mean? As long as you kind of are preventing that, you have ways to mitigate that, then that's good. The other big advantage to many smaller engines versus, oh, there we go. Now we're seeing chill down on the mount. So now we are actually, so I talked about it way prematurely. My bad. Everyone is smarter than me. Smarter every day. Everyone's smarter every day than me. What was I saying? That's not me. Look, we are seeing, baby, we are chilling down. We are getting ready for a launch today. This is fantastic news. Which also, by the way, we should keep our eyes open to SpaceX's Twitter feed, or X feed, sorry. Whatever you want to call it, because I'll keep it open in a tab for myself now that we're getting closer. Because they might let us know if the flight director verifies we're go for propellant load, which I'm guessing is happening at T-minus 1 hour and 15 minutes. It's probably happening right now. So that's fantastic. What was I saying? I was talking about things and stuff. 33 engines. The other big one is the cost of production. If you're producing, your R&D costs, because you have, one design and you're cranking out mass production, it's a lot cheaper to produce many of something smaller versus few of something larger. There's I already forgot the word because I've almost not slept. What is that word, Andrew, that I'm looking for? Or it's like a little phrase. It's like not diminishing returns. It's kind of the opposite of that, like prominishing returns, or like returns on investment. No, not what's the word? The business, returns on the business. Somebody, Discord, help. I need help. I don't remember. But anyway, what is that? That's gonna literally make me lose my mind. But you get more good of that when you do it. I will re-answer that in a second when I have some clarity. And even like things like hours of testing, your data, you get X amount of times more data, 6 times more data per launch. And that's great. You get 6 times more failure potentials to learn, 6 times more data. So that's fantastic. You learn faster. Economies of scale. Thank you, Captain Akeo. Economies of scale. Thank you. That is the word I was looking for. Not the business gets the gooder. Economies of scale. Yeah, that's a huge one though. Literally, that's a huge one. If you have a machine, you get pay off those assets to even build it in the first place. Plus, you're churning them out. So economies of scale. Thank you so much. Joker of all trades. I believe in S35, all goes well to all goals today will be reached. I believe in S35. Sorry, I missed the in. I also, Joker of all trades, I'm with you. I need this. I need this. This is from ACL Eclipse. I don't know how to say that. How would you rate your Vandenberg launch with Mark? That was the best. Well, that's the only Vandenberg launch I've actually seen. I've gone out to Vandenberg many times to see a launch, and it was beautiful. Blue, crystal clear blue skies. Saw the entire everything all the way up to Miko. Didn't really ever lose track of the booster for maybe a little brief second, but I mean, it was crystal clear skies. It was amazing. It was great. I would rate that as far as a Starship launches ruin everything because we're really close. It's really loud. It's really big. It's really crazy. It's really experimental. It's really wild. There's the catch. There's so many things that kind of ruin almost every other launch about Starship. As far as the Falcon 9 goes, that was, I think, the best visual launch I've seen. It was just a beautiful day for a launch, and it was really fun. And being in front of a live studio audience was like one of the coolest things ever. Seeing a bunch of kids get excited about space and about a rocket was amazing. So big fan of that. Really, really enjoyed that. I think it's a really cool video that I was very happy to be a part of that video. This is from ODST Moody. Carry us home, ship 35. Yes, please. Let's kick off summer with a real banger. I want mission success today. That is what I'm talking about. Let's do it. This is from again, I'm trying to kind of catch up on all the super chats, so thank you guys so much. From Bad Geek Squad, quick question. Do you think that Ship 35 will make it through reentry with all of its removed tiles? I think so. I mean, I think this will be a good test because, again, they intentionally have tiles missing so they can push it to the limits and see how it actually does. See if it survives reentry with tiles missing, because you got to know. You got to know. This is a test of validating extremes. There's an extreme reentry profile, even of booster coming in at a very high angle of attack. There's an extreme, a lot of things are extreme. And yeah, the relight, the booster, when it's on this landing burn, will only light 2 of its center engines and light 1 of the outer 10. Well, not outer, inner 10, I guess. The next ring out, the middle 10. There we go. That's what you'd call that. And see if they can still control the vehicle. They've never done anything like that. Pushing it to the limits, and I absolutely love that. This is Justin L. Is it feasible for Starship to push a small asteroid into an Earth orbit for nearby in-space mining of precious metals? I mean, yeah. There's Falcon 9 can move, and I'll get it into orbit. I mean, right now, no, not at all. Right now, not even close. Someday could, of course, maybe. I don't know. If you had a tug. Like, I think the right thing for that would be, it doesn't make sense to take, in order to rendezvous with an asteroid, you have to be on its same orbit, which means you're on a, you're in a heliocentric orbit around the sun. Asteroids don't orbit the Earth, they're orbiting the sun. So you actually have to be on that same trajectory, which means you have to be, on an escape out of Earth's sphere of influence, or at least on a trajectory that would take you out of the Earth's influence, and then slow it down in order to capture it into Earth's orbit. The best thing I think would be to have a small tug that pushes it, and then you use like the moon for a gravity assist to help get it into Earth orbit. Could you do something like that? Yeah, of course. I mean, objectively, yes. But, yeah, but when? I mean, well, when is the big question, and nothing about that is physically impossible. So when will it be worth it? When will we have that technology, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? Let's see. This is from Gregory Paul. How expensive in terms of delta V is it to go from a 26-degree inclination to 0 in Leo? Very expensive. I was actually trying to find that number for a video where we wanted to talk about going from equatorial to a polar orbit. What's like a plane change of that amount of magnitude is, I think it's almost the same amount of energy as getting into orbit in the first place. to go that big. So from 28 to 0 is a lot. Now, ironically, most of the time, and I'd have to see the numbers and probably talk to Scott Manley, who would know a lot more about orbital mechanics than me. I think for something like that, you'd actually want to go, it's cheapest as far as delta V goes, to go all the way out to the point where you're almost just at the your apogee is so slow that you're almost about to completely escape Earth's sphere of influence. You get way out there, you're only going 10 meters per second or whatever, then your plane change can only be a very small impulse, and you could go retrograde with a 20, you could go like a very small burn if your apogee, because as you raise your apogees, you raise your highest point in your orbit, you're actually slowing down, just like, hills on a roller coaster. The highest point is your slowest point, the closest point is your fastest point. And so if you raise your orbit enough, it's going to take a lot of propellant to do that. You're going to burn and use a lot of delta V to raise your orbit that high. But then that inclination change at the top is actually incredibly inexpensive, and it's actually a cheaper way as far as delta V goes than doing it like at low Earth orbit. So I don't have that exact number, but that is a good question, and I would love to find that answer. This is from Trinity. I've followed your journey since the beginning, and your excitement got me into aerospace engineering. Got my BSc degree as of yesterday. I don't know what the C is. BSc. I'll figure it out from the help of Discord. And maybe that's just a mistake. Degree as of yesterday. I'm looking forward to space. Thank you so much, Tim. That is awesome, Trinity. Congratulations. Thank you for tuning in. And thank you for getting in the field of aerospace and engineering. That is fantastic. This is from Donald Saunders. Thank you so much for the compliment. And thank you so much for that generous donation. You are amazing. You're making this all happen. No, just became a member. No, just became a member. Everyone, you heard it here first. No, just became a member. Thank you so much. Samuel Nathan Richards, let's go. Thanks as always. P.S. I'm in the space industry where many startups are betting on Starship ride shares, but I've not seen or heard of any plan from Elon and SpaceX regarding Starship servicing the global launch demand. Any insights there? Nope. No insights there. The reality is, don't put the cart before the horse. We got to see this thing actually work before, we get into all the weeds of that. Look at, by the way, how much venting is going on. We are getting ready for fuel up. We got to see this thing work. Plain and simple. Once it works, start ironing out the details of getting customers on there, flying your own payloads of Starlink, doing all the cool stuff, doing orbital deplay. Okay, by the way, Starship team is go for prop load. Official. You heard it. Maybe not here first, but you did hear it. We are go for prop load, my friends. So T-minus 51 minutes is when we will actually see that happen. So this is great news. Go for prop load. But yes, back to Samuel, back to your Ooh, let's hear it, Andrew. Sorry, I'm hearing of something. Oh, no. Did they change the launch pad to Australia? Why is this happening? Do you have this capability in the switcher? Or is it someone didn't hear the pointy end up check? That's actually surprisingly disorienting. I'm not going to lie. I don't know if it's sleep deprivation, but that is that hurts. That hurts my soul, seeing the pointy end down, flaming end up. I hate this. Please make it right again. Thank you so much. I couldn't even handle that. Pointy end up. Okay, we're back to normal. No need to panic. That was mean. You can't do this to me today. But anyway, yeah, Samuel, we got to see this thing fly and work, and then I think we'll start seeing, payloads and ride shares and customers lining up with some real numbers and some real insights. Let's see. This is from Trevor Welsh. If SpaceX is confident in the reused booster getting to MECO boost back, why aren't they confident in doing a catch attempt? So this is that question. This is that question that I said we'd get into, and now we're going to. And before we do, I'm going to take a big drink of water because I'm already losing my voice. We need some water drinking music or something while I'm... Okay. To answer your question, Trevor, they are attempting two things that are going to be pushing the limits of the bounds of the known bounds of super heavy re-entering and landing. The first is they're basically aiming intentionally short of the intended landing site, and they're going to be doing an extreme higher than normal angle of attack. So normally, if the vehicle re-enters at say a 15, 20 degree relative to straight up and down, they glide it. They literally fly a tube at a slight angle. That's half of the reason you see the chines, the little halfy, streaky guy things at the bottom, to help build up pressure, to help get that center of pressure to be lower towards the base end of the booster, towards the heaviest end of the booster. Build up that pressure, fly the vehicle, and that helps slow it down. That helps remove velocity. As the higher that angle of attack, the more velocity and the more work the atmosphere is doing. However, you're getting closer and closer to the limits of control, to the limits maybe structurally, to the limits of how far down range you can actually glide safely, all these things. And so that's one of the big things. They're going to push that a lot further. So if that doesn't work out, you're potentially putting your launch site at risk if something goes wrong there. Let's say a grid fin gets stuck at an extreme angle or something and they lose control and it, not good, or something like that. The other thing is they are intentionally not lighting one of the 3 center engines to test out what happens if they lose one of the center engines, and they're going to light up one of the middle 10 engines to compensate for it. And that's going to be a new novel thing of like a backup of what happens if one of these center 3 don't light. Can we still slow it down enough? Do we still have margins? Do we still have control? All these unknowns, and you can model it all day long, but until you actually try doing it. So they're using this opportunity, like they don't really care to reuse this booster. It's already an old, outdated booster by modern standards, even though it's only flew for the first time like less than 6 months ago. But they need to. Actually, this just flew in January. That's a 5-month turnaround. That's hilarious. Yeah, they need to. They might as well use this opportunity with a reflown booster. It's kind of like a free test. You get to test out a lot of things. You can push it harder than normal and not risk losing your shiniest one that you care the most about. So, let's see. This is from Harrison. Love the content, Tim. Still hope you have a chance to fly one day, even if it's just on Falcon. I'll never get the chance. Hope you do, and cover it for the rest of us at Astra. Thank you so much, Harrison. I still would appreciate that. Like I said, that's never been the goal of Everyday Astronaut. That has not been like, I'm going to get to space. I'm going to do everything it takes to get to space. It would be great. It would be, if someone does want to take me with them as Mr. Obnoxious floating around guy that's looking out the window the entire time, probably crying, tears of joy and disbelief and all of the emotions that would come from the awe and wonder of being in orbit. If someone wants to take me, sure, I'll do it, but I'm not actively like seeking that per se. You know what I mean? Hopefully that makes sense. But thank you so much, Harrison, for your support. Let's see here. Let's answer from Daniel Cockerell. You could make a flawless robot hand with Meta's EMG wristband if you got a Tesla Optimus hand and hooked it up. Can you tell Elon you would make $100 million? I don't think I would make $100 million, and I don't know what half of these words are. But thank you for your support, and I probably won't tell Elon that you can have a flawless robot hand with Meta's EMG wristband if you get a Tesla's Optimus hand and hooked it up, because frankly, I have almost no idea what you're talking about. But thank you, Daniel. Well, I'll tell you a better idea, even though I don't quite know what you're talking about. I have a really good friend of mine, is a quad amputee. He actually was a Navy EOD. So unfortunately, he lost his limbs in Afghanistan, and he has to rely on they're reliable in the sense of like the mechanics and the hardware is pretty good, but they're still pretty primitive in the sense that the only way he can operate his hand is literally basically 2 buttons. By flexing this muscle or this muscle, operates either open or close and rotate, and switching modes by holding. If there was a way to better directly interface with neurons that can tell the hand what to do quicker and with more fidelity than just a binary but well, not quite binary, but on, off on 2 different switches. That could be game changing. And I think, potentially that's where Neuralink could actually come in, but because I don't know if he can wear a Meta EMG wristband. He doesn't have wrists anymore. So, but getting close to the nerve endings to be able to control something would be awesome. But another way to do that is just to tap directly into the brain and read the brain waves from the source without having to. I'm seeing thank you so much, Discord. Reads your wrist neurons to act like a controller. Don't know if it's real or vaporware at the moment. Sweet. Thank you so much, Marius, for that. Actually, that might actually work for him, for my friend Taylor. That would be really cool to see something like that used with prosthetics. I would love to see that. Okay, I'll pass that on to Taylor. This is from someone that unfortunately I can't read. You're awesome, Tim. My girlfriend Irina dreams of becoming a space engineer, but university can be challenging. A few words of encouragement would mean the world to her. Well, let me tell you this. If you have the ability, if you are good at studying, if you're good at comprehension and grinding through school, please do it. I mean, I couldn't do it. I didn't have the work ethic when I was young to focus on things like that. I didn't have the drive, the patience. I was just aloof when I was 19 years old, 18 and 19 and 20 and 21 and 22. I wasn't good in school. I didn't do well. I encourage anyone that can get an engineering degree, for the love of all humans, please get an engineering degree, because A, you can do so much with it. You can do so much with an engineering degree, but B, there's a lot of, aerospace engineering is huge right now because there's so many companies pursuing really cool things. Not all of them are launching. Some of them are, on orbit things. Some of them are, there's a lot of stuff going on, and there's a lot you can do with an engineering degree. So if you have the ability, for my sake, please do it. Do it for me, because that would be really cool. So good, very best of luck to you, Irina. Let's see. Sausage Man, slightly misspelled, and I love it for that. Hope my spec math teacher lets me watch the launch. I hope so too. Hey, spec math teacher, let's Sausage Man watch. Schmeedy, thank you so much for the membership. Daniel Milligan, thank you for all you do. First Starship launch as an engineer at SpaceX, Starlink specifically. That's awesome, Daniel. Congratulations on your position. That's very cool. Yeah, that's so cool. Seeing the employees at the factory today was awesome. Hundreds, maybe thousands, for sure hundreds. It was a lot. There was probably well over 1,000, actually, now that I think about it, that we could see waiting for what was supposed to be the talk today. But it was just awesome. There's just energy when you just sit here going like there's a lot of young people doing really, really cool things. A lot of people from all around the world, all different walks of life, coming together to build the world's most powerful rocket is just awesome. So very inspirational. Tyler Lutz says, I was worried you were going to miss today after your tweets last night. Glad you made it. I'm very glad I made it, because let me tell you, it was not... obviously, we've all had travel delays, but last night was an extra pressing one, and I had to be at Starbase this morning at 10. Got out of there at 3, had to get up at 9, got here at 5 a.m. So like I said, I'm very sleep deprived. But yeah, I wouldn't have it any other way. Uh-oh, we did lose. Was that a camera we lost? Please. Okay, good. Whew, I don't like when cameras go bye-bye. I was getting scared. But I'm very glad to be here. Like I said, I really want to see from this vantage point again. By the way, we are coming up on LOX load on the ship. Actually, why is it? I feel like you can almost see a frost ring already, just above the hot staging ring. But that would be premature because it's supposed to start LOX loading in 51 minutes. And we, of course, everyone, we will be paying attention to when the SpaceX feed goes live, and we will be listening in too. I like to do that just so I stay informed, so I can help break down if there is anything else they talk about. I think that's the way to do it. So you can also just be here in one place to watch, and you don't have to shop around. I'll shut up when they talk, and I'll listen. So let's keep going here. This is from XO Abiana XO. If this one goes all the way to soft splashdown, do you expect to see a ship catch on flight 10, 11, or 12? So I don't think we'll see a catch. I think the next milestone after a successful V2, or sorry, version 2 of Starship, or whatever this new version is called, after we see a successful flight of it and it reaches and it marks the milestones to a degree of we're happy with it, the next milestone would be potentially seeing it actually properly go into orbit. And all that means is literally allowing it to burn its engines just a tiny bit longer, getting into orbit, and then doing a deorbit burn. I don't know if they would allow a catch after that yet, or if they would. And in that case, it'd be flight potentially as early as flight 10. I wouldn't be surprised if it takes 2 or 3 more before we see a catch of ship. But I've been surprised before, and I'm trying to be, you know, realistic that could be flight 11 or 10. So. Snardog, from our Discord channel, I'll say, I'll admit, for some reason, Dear Moon actually started stinging more in the last 6 months than it did the first 6 months of its cancellation. I don't know why. I don't know where like I began to harbor some resentments, and it began to kind of affect my positivity and my life, and I started thinking about it a lot more, getting bitter. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It actually really I've started feeling the weight of it. And I don't know if I just pushed it off as I don't have time to worry about this and emotionally, you know, let myself feel these feelings per se, if I just didn't process it correctly. But for whatever reason, in the past 6 months, it's been heavier to me than it was 6 months prior. So those are my thoughts. I think it sucks. I think that lives got upended, and some of my really good friends had their lives changed for the worse because of something that should have been great. And I would even put myself in that boat too, because I let myself dream about that and let others dream with me. And that sucks. That sucks. Yeah. From Russell Platt, thank you so much for your support. Let's see. This is Alan Osmond saying, nice to hear from you. Can you explain what has changed on the booster? Is this a new booster or a previously flown booster? This is the first time they're reflying a booster. So this booster has had some engines replaced, but otherwise hardware-wise is the same. It's flown before. And so this is the first reflight from Flight 7. So yeah, Flight 7 was in January, and this is the first reflight of a super heavy booster. So that's what's new and what's different. Slithery, great to hear from you, Slithery. Thank you. 65 months. That's amazing. So good to always see you around. Thank you so much. Do we know what tests they are planning for the booster reentry and landing? So yeah, you might have been around. Hopefully, I'll just reiterate one more time because we do have, I think, some new people that are tuning in here that might not have been here. But basically, the quick rundown: reentry, the booster is going to be at a very high angle of attack. And then instead of lighting its 3 center engines, they're actually intentionally not lighting one of those 3, and they will be, as a backup, testing like, okay, if one of them doesn't light, can we light up one of the middle ring Raptor engines, sea level Raptor engines? And yeah, hopefully that answers your question to satisfactory. Okay, we're finally now caught back up to when Tyler Matthew Harris very generously donated $100. So thank you again. We already went through that. Mark Schipple, Tim, check yourself about real engineering. Send me a message. Yes, we went through all that. That was, oh my gosh, that's only where I am now. That was like an hour. I am so far behind. I feel like I'm doing a good job of like stay on top of these things. Then I'm trying to like I say, I always try not to just answer super chats and stuff because I like answering your guys' questions, but I also really appreciate the financial support. So thank you so much. I'm sorry if I'm going to be missing some of these. And we're also getting really close here we're getting pretty close to the X stream, hopefully coming on here pretty soon. So let me keep answering a few more questions. Joshua, in your opinion, is Rocket Ranch a great place to catch a flight, or is it better at SPI? I want to make my first one. So Rocket Ranch itself is different than the Raptor Roost. So the Rocket Ranch, where you'd sleep and stuff, is quite a ways out. It's not a great place to watch a launch. Great place to stay, great community, really fun. Definitely, it's family friendly, but it's a little bit more probably for the adventurous. If you really like camping and stuff and that kind of stuff and adventure, Rocket Ranch is definitely the right place for you. But really cool to meet people out there. But they do have their own place that's actually closer than I am. So I'm 5 miles, 8 kilometers. There's a place that's about 4 miles that you can book tickets through them, and they will take you and get you there legally, safely. And that would be awesome. The next best outside of that would definitely, I made a video all about this, and those things really haven't changed. But the next best thing is just still the southern tip of South Padre. Isla Blanca Park is an amazing, I haven't watched a full stack launch from there, but I've seen many videos because I obviously am here when I'm doing that. But it's like a straight line of sight, beautiful. There's amenities. That is where most of the people go. So it just depends on what you're looking for. Rocket Ranch's stuff, the Raptor Roost is a little bit more remote, but it's awesome. It's really cool. So you have good options either way. The one thing to keep in mind though is South Padre is actually a long ways away from the pad, but it's also very close to a lot of amenities and hotels and stuff. So it all depends on what you're doing. If you're staying at Rocket Ranch, definitely no brainer. It just depends on what your mood is and what kind of adventure you're in for. Let's see. From Martin Mooney, hi from Ireland. You and your crew do a wonderful job. Thank you very much. I very much appreciate that, sincerely. Do you have any Pride merch in the works for June? No, we don't have any Pride-specific merch. We don't do a lot of merch in general, and we try to do like launches that are very specific to hardware. So I try to kind of stay focused on rockets. If you guys haven't noticed that rockets and aerospace history and aerospace. So, that is a good idea though. And I appreciate the question. From Pleb Dominus Rex, do you have any genuine criticisms or concerns towards Starship aside from not having an abort system? I would say flying humans, if you're launching from, you said besides an abort system, of course, that's the first thing I'm going to go to is the abort system. But I still fear there's a lot of things that I just do question. I can't think of the biggest ones off the top of my head, but I mean, even having, but it does make sense. Even they're going so hard on fully and rapidly reusable, which I understand. In the end of the day, when that eventually does get figured out, it will make everything else pointless. It will make everything else obsolete. It will be the obvious solution. However, it's really hard for me to not imagine a world where, let's say that this administration really wants humans to stand on the moon by 2027. Right now, the plan with Human Landing System and the plan with Starship and the plan even with Blue Moon's lander requires a lot of unproven things. It requires orbital refueling and not only orbital refueling, but orbital refueling at a scale that's never even been close to done before. Will that, I know that will work someday. There's nothing impossible about it. It's nothing, it's not a very novel idea. But the execution of it might be very difficult. It might take a few tries. I wish that we could have the option of just like, hey, we can build these things insanely cheap. The Super Heavy booster has more lifting capacity than any other rocket by double. It's an incredible piece of machinery. An expendable, I know, they're already expending. They've expended 8 of these vehicles more or less, except for, I guess, this particular booster. But even a reusable booster, if you expend an upper stage, they could do a single launch with the Artemis program, including an Orion capsule. And Scott Manley kind of talked about this. He ended up saying 2 Falcon 9, 2 Falcon 9s in like an upper stage would be a choice. I think just honestly make a expendable upper stage. I don't know. I mean, I just wish that it's more open to like, hey, we have this ability. There's a lot of power and a lot of potential here that we could do some work alongside with our other goals. Like every now and then, while they're working on this rapidly reusable and demonstrating these never before things, I would love to see like, hey, we have this capability. We're going to throw an adapter on there and we're going to launch, a 45-ton lander to the moon. We'll launch a Blue Origin lander to the moon in one shot. That'd be awesome. That'd be work being done. It doesn't have to mean it takes away from other projects. I mean, it technically does, because you still have to do a little, R&D for that type of thing too. But that would be easy peasy compared to what they're doing with potentially trying to reuse everything. That's actually probably my biggest criticism is like, I would love to see other things done in parallel to the big goal. Just to kind of, people don't realize how close, like if they wanted to make this an expendable, Falcon 9 style, they already could do it. Just burning the engines for 3 seconds longer and not having to worry about any of the recovery hardware in the upper stage, done. Like they could have done that flight 3. So yeah, I don't know. I appreciate the grand, going for the big goal, because like I said, it will make everything else obsolete. However, I just kind of wish that sometimes there could be some fun little milestones just to like get work done in the meantime too. So that's my long rant. From Newtopia Labs, hello everyone. Thank you for saying hi. Alex, how big can they make me it before they need a Sea Dragon? How big can they make me it before they need a Sea Dragon? I'll get rid of the me for you. How big can they make it before they need a Sea Dragon? So Sea Dragon is only big because it's bad. Yeah, I said it. Sea Dragon fans, what now? I called your rocket bad. I mean, it's just objectively a poor performing rocket, which is why it's so big. It literally, that massive Sea Dragon concept, which is like a rocket that's like 10 times bigger and heavier than this yet, is a pressure-fed rocket engine. I just don't even think it would ever work on any... It scaled the way it was because they were trying to make it cheap and like just... And I just don't think that's anywhere near the solution. If you made a Starship vehicle the size of Sea Dragon with full flow stage combustion cycle methane engines, I mean, you would have lifting capabilities that no one has ever seen or thought about and dreamt about. I mean, it would just be absurd. Sea Dragon is big because it's bad. And those two things are not. Yeah, that is a vent from the bottom of the flap, and I believe that's just an engine chill down vent, which is great. So again, we're seeing progress towards that. By the way, we're getting close to hopefully the SpaceX feed going live. Which before we do that, I'm going to try to answer as many questions as I can. I might pop in, answer some of their questions. If you guys have a question about what they're talking about, we might interrupt them real quick to if it's something we've heard 100 times, to kind of be like, yeah, quick reminder, blah, blah, blah. But also one more thing before I leave you guys with that is I'm going to remind you one more time that we do have a big sale on our LOX collection, our Methalox shirts, and our LOX socks in our shop. So if you want to support the work we do, here, I'll show you my LOX socks. On the other side, they say Methalox, and they taper in the actual colors of a methane-powered rocket. But yeah, we have the LOX socks collection, which includes Methalox, Carolox, and Hydrolox at everydayastronaut.com/shop. Also, you can get 25% off of not only that, but also the Methalox shirt, which I wear way too much. And then if you're a fan of Drive to Survive, pay attention to, I don't remember what episode, but it's the one that features Liam Lawson. You'll see Liam Lawson getting out of his car wearing a Methalox hoodie, which makes me very happy. Love that guy. The other thing that I wanted to remind you, and I haven't checked now that we've been streaming, but we are over half sold out of our Mercury Atlas, Mercury Redstone, our new 1/100 scale model rockets that are amazing. So if you want to get your hands on these, you better do it now, because good chance they're going to be sold out before the end of this stream. But this is another set of metal model rockets that are to the same scale as our Falcon 9s. So, which are also back in stock, by the way. Falcon 9s are finally back in stock after like a year. So if you've waited for a Falcon 9 metal model rocket, now is your chance to do that. So just a friendly little reminder there. Metal 1/100 scale models to be able to fill your own rocket garden. everydayastronaut.com/shop. Maybe one of the easiest ways to support the channel. And again, European shipping will be coming hopefully by the end of summer. We have that all, the logistics going. We'll be shipping stuff here. Actually, stuff will be shipping there literally like now. So we'll be populating that and working on European shipments. So yeah, get stuff in there while you can, including our heat shield mug, which I love. Color changing heat shield mug literally matches the exact Pantone color of the heat shields when they get warm on reentry. So, yeah, if you want to support the work we do, everydayastronaut.com/shop. Get yourself something fun. And, yeah, hopefully we're starting to get close to the SpaceX stream going live here. I think it's about to start imminently. Once that's fired up, hopefully we'll get live updates. And I can't wait. It's actually getting close. We'll kind of do the side-by-side thing so you guys, don't have to go anywhere if you want to get all the coverage in one spot. I'm okay. I'm starting to get excited. We're only T-minus 37 minutes. I actually feel like despite having so little sleep and having this just kind of feel like it's like been forever away, now all of a sudden it's just right here, 37 minutes away. Let's go. I'll answer one more. This is a fun one from Forest Dweller 605. 7 years ago, working for my dad moving business in South Dakota, I watched one of your videos. I quit, went to school in Florida, saw SLS and a dozen Falcon 9 Falcon Heavies, and now have found my calling in life as an A&P mechanic. Thanks to you, Tim. That is absolutely incredible. That is so cool. That like literally changed the course of your life. Thank you for attributing that to me, but that's not me. That is just the excitement of aerospace, in my opinion. So easy to be excited about the work that all these incredible people are doing to help us move forward into the future and hopefully get us off this planet. So, and off of and onto more planets, on more bodies. Get us on the moon. Get us on Mars. I want to see people hanging out on the jovial moons. I want to see just humanity go and explore, because that's what we do. So thank you so much, Forrest. That is just awesome. From Senator Tim, come to Scotland. I feel your brain needs to chill. No, that's actually what's next for me, and why I have I'm really hoping this launches today, because I am leaving. I'm going to be gone for 10 days. Some work, some play, and then it's back to production on videos. But I need this. I need a break. I'm really needing a nice little break, and it's going to be relaxing for a minute and fun, and going to see Casper Stanley. Hi, Casper. I'm excited to see Casper on Friday already. Larry Stout just became a member. Oh, here we go. We'll be getting the SpaceX stream coming up here soon. Get their audio piped in once it's relevant, and we're going to be listening in, so don't go anywhere. This is Satvik Ja saying, how many engines on the ship are reused engines? So on ship, none. On booster, I don't know the exact number that ended up being replaced, but I think low, not like 3 to 5. Maybe they'll talk about that specifically on the stream to let us know how many they replaced after Flight 7, because obviously this is the booster that flew for Flight 7. Yeah, and I don't know the exact number, but I don't think it's not like the majority. I think the majority of them are majority of them are reused and have not been replaced. Kitty Donahue, thank you so much for 59 months of membership. That is amazing. Like I said, we are working to get the SpaceX feed going. So they're right about to, we'll wait until they actually start like hosting. So, because otherwise we're just listening to music. This is from Monty. Hey, Tim, just want to show some support. I hope I can make it to next year's Astro Awards. Yes. Oh, here we go. I'll keep this up on screen, Monty, but we'll listen in. Thank you, Monty.
Starbase, first time, right?
Thank you so much, Dan. Yeah, my first time here, and it is mind-blowing. I went out to the pad this morning, and the scale of the vehicle is just insane.
Dwarfs everything.
And for those of you watching at home, in case you missed the news, Starbase is no longer just a cool name. It is now officially an incorporated city in Texas, and we'll have more on that a little bit later today.
Yeah, right now, though, we are counting down to Starship's 9th flight test, currently targeting the very start of our window at 6:30 p.m. Central Time. Good news right up front, not tracking any issues with the vehicle. Weather is gorgeous out there right now. Rain this morning, little bit of wind, nothing now, nothing to worry about. Looking good for a launch.
Starship development is moving quickly here at Starbase. So fast, in fact, that we already are reflying the Super Heavy booster today, which last flew on Flight 7. The primary objectives for today are very similar to our last 2 attempts, except for the booster, which, in addition to flying for the second time, has an exciting return journey planned for its return back to Earth.
That's right. It's going to be getting some serious rigor, and pretty important, we are not going to be attempting to catch the booster today. We're going to use this launch to kind of further accelerate the development. We're putting Super Heavy kind of through the ringer, some serious rigor. We're going to go through all of that in just a couple of minutes. We're also hoping to get Ship into space, and it's got a couple of objectives like deploying simulated Starlink satellites and then a range of experiments during its reentry. We're really trying to test the limits, the capabilities of that heat shield, the flaps, the structure, everything about it. Primary payload on this flight, once again, as always, is data.
It's definitely a very big day for both stages. There's always a chance we don't reach every objective that we set for ourselves, but success comes from what we learn on days like today. And of course, whatever happens, excitement is guaranteed.
Yeah, that's right. Progress is not measured by single flight tests. It's whatever that timeline overall is, and getting us closer to establishing self-sustaining civilization on Mars, making life multiplanetary. Every time we're learning something from these flights that will get us there, that is progress.
Exactly. Starship is the first orbital launch vehicle engineered to be fully reusable and built for frequent flight and heavy payloads, just like today's commercial airliners.
It's the product of years of rapid development, testing, iteration. We're trying to fly as frequently as possible, fix problems as they appear, and then fly again. It all started here at Starbase back with Starhopper. It was a small single Raptor prototype. Kind of looked like a water tower. We turned it into a water tower eventually. It made its first low altitude hop back in 2019 here at Starbase. You could tell the pad, that's the pad that we were just looking at. It looks dramatically different now, 2 towers. But Starhopper delivered. It was able to prove that we could use that Raptor engine for controlled takeoff and landing.
And that is so wild to see that there on your screen was just 6 years ago, and now we're here today with a full-size vehicle. So from there, we moved to full-size test articles with increasingly complex test flights that reached progressively higher altitudes. And each test shaped the Starship that we see today on the pad, a stronger, taller, and more refined vehicle.
That's right. All right. Now, let's go out there and meet it. Starship is made up of 2 parts. First, on the bottom, the Super Heavy booster, powered by 33 Raptor engines. Both Super Heavy and Ship are running on liquid methane and liquid oxygen. That second stage, the Starship upper stage, is powered by 6 of those Raptor engines. 3 of them are optimized to sea level performance, 3 for vacuum, so operating while they're in space. And here's a quick look under the hood at all of those Raptors. On the left, that's a view from underneath the launch mount. That's 33 Raptor engines on the first stage, on the booster. And on the right, that's a view inside of the ship. So you're looking down at the top of the booster at 6 Raptor engines inside the ship. Those are what's going to power it to orbit. Now, that second stage is also what will one day carry cargo, payloads, people, everything that's going to space. It's also going to be responsible for in-space propellant transfer. That's where we're going to take 2 Starships, meet them up in orbit. One will be able to transfer propellant to the other. That's a really critical capability for Starship to do all of these missions beyond low Earth orbit. That also unlocks our ability to send huge amounts of cargo, tremendous amounts of people to destinations far beyond Earth.
Yeah, the Super Heavy booster is designed to launch, separate, flip, and return to the launch site where it can be caught by the chopsticks on the launch tower. Though, as we mentioned earlier, we are not attempting a booster catch today on Flight 9. Starship re-enters the Earth's atmosphere at the conclusion of its mission, steering itself to a vertical landing or catch. And both stages are designed to return to Earth and fly again, making this the first rocket in history that will be fully reusable.
And then just in between the 2 vehicles is what's known as the hot stage ring. That's a steel structure that really takes the brunt of those ship engines as they ignite, protecting the booster while the ship's still attached to it. That enables us to do hot staging. It's faster, more efficient, kind of shutting everything down and then reigniting. Right now, that hot stage it's single use. It detaches from the booster as it flies back. But in the future, it's going to be integrated right into the top. And then on top of all of that, there's all of the infrastructure that's built up around it to support Starship. We call it Stage 0. That's everything, the launch pads, the propellant farm, launch towers, chopsticks that are catching the booster out of the air, stacking the ship, all of that. And you may have noticed we have a new addition out there near the pad. The orbital launch mount for Pad 2 has officially been installed. That's starting to come together.
Pad 2,
just
not
like
Pad B.
1, Pad 2 has a launch mount. That's where you're going to put Super Heavy on top. We also have a launch tower with arms, a little bit shorter on that one. That's going to be used to stack the Starship on top, put the booster on top, catch the booster, catch the Starship. We did put the orbital launch mount on there. That's responsible for routing all of the propellant to the booster ahead of flight. Underneath it, you've got flame deflectors, the water deluge system to disperse all of those forces. The single piece we just lifted in weighs about 1,060 metric tons, which, if you're keeping score at home, that's the same weight as about 10 Millennium Falcons. It's heavy.
That's a lot of Millennium Falcons,
So
Dan.
many.
We're also currently in work on Starship's brand new pad at Kennedy Space Center's Launch Complex 39A, and we're hoping to bring that online later this year as well. Tons of progress with Starship so far in 2025, and lots of incredible milestones still coming up. And we are still on track to lift off tonight at 6:30 p.m. Central Time. And right now, it's time to say hi to Chris, who's over there repping the West Coast ops today. How's it going, Chris?
Hey, Jesse and Dan, and welcome everyone to West Coast and Hawthorne, California. As you can see behind me, the crowd is gathering outside of our mission control room here in Hawthorne, and the excitement is really palpable as we continue to count down toward Starship's 9th flight test. Now, our mission control room here in Hawthorne usually serves as the mission control room for our Falcon and Dragon missions once they launch from Florida and California. Now, with Starship, all countdown and mission control operations actually use the same flight control team from the same location at Starbase, which you can see on your screen now. But as we develop a vehicle like Starship, we want as many experts watching over its various systems as we can. And that's what we use the mission control room here in Hawthorne for during Starship flight tests like today's. The folks in mission control, which you see now on your screen, are the responsible engineers for Starship's various systems. This includes things like booster systems, stage propellant, our ground stations, flight software, the loads, and the vehicle structures as well. And having this support gives the flight teams in Starbase immediate access to our engineers' knowledge, which is really, really important when we're making informed decisions very quickly in a test program like this. This setup has been great for Starship flight tests so far, as we've handled things like propellant temperature differences, as well as day of launch winds that can affect the loads placed on Starship structures during launch, and particularly during the descent of the Super Heavy booster back to Earth. So having all of these responsible engineers ready to support is crucial during Starship testing, where we place hardware in flight conditions quickly to iterate and make the best and most reliable rocket that we can. So it's definitely a full house, a growing full house here in Hawthorne for our 9th flight of Starship today. Every flight brings us a step closer to a future where Starship is flying multiple times a day, and I'm sure you all feel the same way down there in Texas, Dan and Jesse, but I can't wait to see Starship's launch today. How about you?
Yeah, can't wait to see it, Chris. As you can see, props loading on the vehicle is just a little under 2 miles away from us, and we're really excited. Looking back real quick, so back in March, Starship's 8th flight test saw us catch the Super Heavy booster for the 3rd time ever, another big step on that path to full and rapid reusability. Unfortunately, the Starship upper stage did experience what we call a rapid, unscheduled disassembly before it finished its climb to space, which meant we didn't reach all of those additional mission objectives that we had set.
About 5.5 minutes into ship's ascent burn, a hardware failure in one of its sea-level Raptor engines took out that engine, the 2 remaining sea-level engines, and a Raptor vacuum engine. That's 4 of the 6 engines that ship has. This was a different failure than we saw on Flight 7, and the fixes that we put in place did work as expected. So this was a new issue on Flight 8. Now, welcome to iterative engineering.
That's right. Losing hardware is a potential outcome of any test program. That's why we're always prepared with safety measures in place and also ready to have boots on the ground to assist with anything like debris cleanup. We can coordinate with all the necessary parties, organizations, administrations for safety in advance and in an ongoing basis during our test campaigns to plan for as many possible outcomes. Definitely do want to say thank you, though, to the people of the Bahamas, the government of the Bahamas, who worked with us so closely since Flight 8.
We took full responsibility for the cleanup, and in doing so, we had people on the ground in the Bahamas within 12 hours to help with debris recovery. So all that said, we're moving forward in our development cycle with safety at the top of mind. And we fly again today to get this current iteration of ship to space and back.
That's right. Putting hardware in a flight environment as frequently as possible, so you're seeing how things behave all together in the real world. Then you're solving problems as they pop up. That's how SpaceX developed their very first rocket, Falcon 1. Same philosophy was used to develop Falcon 9.
Today, we're looking to get our first re-entry with the latest iteration of ship, while intentionally stressing the super heavy vehicle during its return to get data on its boundaries. And by stressing, we mean that we'll be pushing the flight envelope of super heavy as we fly at a higher angle of attack during descent towards the Gulf. Angle of attack in this case means that super heavy is pitched up to maximize drag and slow return. Because of this test, we will not be attempting to catch and recover Super Heavy, which again is flying for its second time today. So for a brief moment, this booster will hold the title as the Super Heavy flight leader.
That's right. All right. Lot still ahead for today. Let's get into it real quick with this overview. As always, everything starts with a liftoff. 33 Raptor engines igniting. Super Heavy pushing itself and Starship into ascent over the Gulf. It's going to continue for about 2.5 minutes before we get to hot staging. Ship will ignite its engines. Booster will do its boost back burn and begin its flight experiments back for a hard splashdown in the Gulf of America. Meanwhile, ship continues its burn into space. And
ship will remain suborbital. We will be deploying 8 Starlink simulator satellites and then head towards re-entry. We'll relight a Raptor engine as well as test experiments during re-entry, such as missing tiles, metallic tiles, loading the vehicle's flaps, and then ship will attempt a flip maneuver, and if all goes planned, we'll conclude the test with a soft water splashdown in the Indian Ocean. So that's what we have on the menu for Flight 9 today.
Whole lot.
Flight 8's RUD taught us new lessons about Starship hardware, specifically the Raptor engines. And as we touched on earlier, the root cause was traced to a hardware failure in one of Starship's 3 center Raptor engines.
Yeah, just since that flight, we've done more than 100 long-duration Raptor tests at our facility in McGregor. Huge shout out to that team for really putting in the work to better understand what happened. As a result, the engines that are on Starship's upper stage on the pad right behind us have a few changes. One of the key ones we did was additional preload on some of the joints, essentially some additional torquing, a new nitrogen purge system for the engines themselves, and made some improvements to the propellant drain system.
After our first ever Super Heavy refurb campaign, we static fired with all 33 Raptor engines. This was a chance to see all the hardware operating together, and for this flight, our teams had an opportunity to make adjustments or hardware replacements for this first ever reflight of the Super Heavy booster.
And then it was ship's turn. We took it through several static fires. First, we did this short duration single engine burn to simulate an in-space reignition of Raptor using those header tanks, those smaller tanks up in the nose cone. We also completed a longer duration 60-second burn with all 6 engines. So where you're really putting the entire propulsion system that's going to be used for the ship's ascent into space through the paces, making sure everything's working together before we go stack it on the pad.
So cool.
And in the end, these changes represent the core of our test program. And reflying a booster for the first time is a major milestone, especially so early in the flight test program. Now, Falcon did it in just over 30 flights.
And Starship's doing it today on just its 9th flight. It's not wild just because of how much faster that is, but just how much bigger Starship is. Falcon 9 can lift about 23 metric tons into orbit. Starship is designed to lift 200.
That is so exciting. And on top of that, we're also reflying engine 314 for its 3rd flight, which you might recall is the engine with a pie on the nozzle. And there you can see that engine there. So cool. It is a milestone, most definitely, but we do remain focused on getting to the point where no refurbishment is needed between any of the flights.
Yeah, that means we want to launch it, bring it back, look at it, reload propellants, go again. That is really what's key. That is what full and rapid reusability will look like.
We're coming to you today from Star Factory,
music,
our
maybe?
new 1 million square foot.
All right. Oh, nice. Joe, he's been in some of the tour videos. So, yeah, unfortunately, just because this is copyright strike territory, good time just to say thank you guys all for watching. Well, maybe let's keep the video up just in case we're missing anything cool video-wise, but we'll just mute the audio. You guys are amazing. I really appreciate you watching. A lot of work goes into these videos and these live streams, even though you just see my face. We have a whole team, and Ryan and Andrew with the Cosmic Perspective crew and the people behind the scenes, that are working so hard to keep all this stuff moving. Huge thank you to everyone, and then our teams here running the show in the trailer today. We got Andrew up in the cloud. We got another Andrew. We have Spencer. We have another Andrew. We have 3 Andrews on crew today. But huge thank you to everyone that makes these shows possible, and including our mods everyone. Thank the mods in the YouTube comment section for doing an amazing job, keeping everyone hopefully just on the same page to celebrate and watch an exciting launch together. So, fun reminder: this is we're only 17 minutes away from Flight 9. Big expectations with this launch. Really hoping for a smooth, successful launch. First reflight of a booster. Really, I don't know. I hope you guys are ready for this one. I'm not ready to be heartbroken, so I'm hoping that we see good success here today. But yeah, just to thank you for watching with us. Hopefully you're enjoying the 4K views. If you're streaming on a TV or whatever, hopefully you're enjoying that. This is just still fun. This is why we do this, is because this is still history in the making. And what's more exciting than watching the world's largest rocket launch? I mean, that's as cool as it gets. I'm really excited to see from my vantage point if I can see the booster's angle of attack. Let's listen back in.
Working together as Starship is learning from Falcon with reusability, and now we're seeing Starship do the same thing today. So all eyes on the rocket on the pad, getting ready to launch in just about 17 minutes from now.
That's right. Looking at our levels real quick, we're a little bit more than halfway full on fuel and LOX on the booster, over 80% full on the ship. Still have to fill those header tanks, but everything looking good. We're not tracking any issues on the range. As a reminder, we watch sea states, air, and land around the launch site here, and also over in the Indian Ocean where we're going to be doing our reentry. Not tracking any blockers to launch at the moment. Weather is gorgeous, has not been a concern all day for launch. We've been moving through all of our pre-flight checkouts pretty smoothly so far this morning, getting the ship and the booster ready for prop load, making sure guidance, navigation, and control are aligned. Everything's ready to go. You can see with the frost coming off, we're getting pretty full. We started loading all of the propellants on board both ships about 45 minutes or so before launch. They kind of stagger where we start with ship and then move into booster. We're going to continue loading these propellants on board until just about 3 minutes before liftoff. We'll close out on the ship first and then on the booster. But bottom line, everything's looking great. Not tracking any vehicle issues, range issues, weather issues. We're looking really good right now for a launch at the top of our window right at 6:30 p.m. Central.
Yeah, seeing the propellant loading is making this getting more and more exciting. Today is going to be a wild ride for Super Heavy. We're putting the booster through several tests to expand the envelope on its capabilities and get flight data to make its return and catch more reliable. Now, another unique change in today's flight will be the addition of the first ever directional flip of the booster.
That's right. If you followed previous flights and you kind of wonder to yourself, why does the direction the booster flip seem random? Surprise, it's because it was. We've got a couple of views from previous flights where you'll see the booster kind of go in different directions, and it was really small differences in the thrust of those ship engines. As they started up, they would nudge the booster in an initial direction, and so the booster would essentially sense that and then lean into it, and it'll react, the engines will gimbal, and then it'll continue the flip. That was the easiest option.
We know how much propellant we will need and can instead use more of the propellant to burn longer during ascent, adding more velocity to ship and increasing how much payload it can ultimately deliver to space.
Yeah, so today I got my trusty Super Heavy here. We're going to intentionally try to flip straight up. So again, as you're separating from the ship, We want to get to here as you're doing that boost back burn. The fastest way is to just flip straight up and go into it. That's roughly what we did on Flight 5. It's the most direct way to get into that orientation for the boost back burn. What you don't want to do is when you flip all the way down like that, we did that on Flight 7, it takes you in a big loop, uses the most amount of prop, not efficient. We're at the point where we want to start kind of tuning it in and getting some extra performance out of the booster.
That's yeah, so cool. Exactly. That's called optimization.
That's right.
To accomplish this, we made some changes to the hot stage adapter, welding reinforced panels over the vents in the direction that we want the booster to go. So when the ship engines ignite, the thrust will push against the blocked vents, which means that the nudge will be in the direction that we planned for. And then when we go to the next generation of ship and booster, we plan to control the flip direction by fine-tuning the engine startup sequence on the ship.
Yeah, that's not the only flight experiment that we have planned for the booster today. We're not attempting a catch, so we're going to try and gather additional data that's going to improve performance on future boosters. We're also going to try and see how resilient we are to things like losing an engine during the landing burn. By sending the booster out to sea, we're able to do these higher risk tests without risking the launch pad. As you might have heard earlier, we're going to be doing what's called a higher angle of attack. Basically, instead of coming straight down, we're going to tilt up a little bit. That gets you more drag on the booster. You're able to use just aerodynamic forces to slow you down. The slower you're going at the start of that landing burn, the less propellant you need, because really you're just focused on slowing down as much as humanly possible when you fire that up. So by already going a little bit slower, we'll get some benefits to our performance and our reliability on those burns.
Yeah, exactly. And there's definite uncertainty in how well the booster's grid fins and structure will be able to control its flight when we get into higher angles. So don't be surprised if it isn't a smooth descent for the booster down to its splashdown point today. The most important objective of this portion of the test will be getting actual flight data to help anchor our models. Now, we're hoping to fly the next generation of super heavy boosters at even higher angles of attack. So this test today will give us a better idea of what is feasible. Now, on top of all of this, we're going to see how resilient Super Heavy is to engine failures at the most critical times.
Yeah, we're going to intentionally disable one of those 3 center engines and instead use an engine from the middle ring that's kind of right behind it. Those center engines are what we nominally use at the very last part of a landing burn. You're just kind of fine-tuning the booster's path into those waiting chopstick arms. This is going to act as a real-world simulation of a pretty scary situation where engines are not starting at probably the worst possible time, but we're going to do this without risking the pad. And then, at the very end of the landing burn, we're going to cut one more engine off and go down to only those 2 center engines. The burn is going to end while Super Heavy is still several hundred feet above the Gulf, so we expect it to make a pretty hard splashdown today. So, in all, pretty eventful day for the booster.
And as many of you may know, water landings are actually uncommon for SpaceX. While other launch providers expend all of their boosters after flight, we land and reuse most of ours. All of these tests are going to help us improve future generations of Super Heavy until we reach its fundamental design, a fully and rapidly reusable and reliable rocket. All right, let's check back in with Chris in Hawthorne. How's it going, Chris?
Hey, Jesse, my colleagues here in Hawthorne definitely agree with you. We can't wait to see the Super Heavy perform its second flight and see all of the work from our thousands of engineers and technicians in action today. Now, while this reuse milestone is incredibly important for Starship's development, Super Heavy boosters are not the only vehicles that we reuse here at SpaceX. We're big on reuse, and our Dragon fleet is another example of that reuse. And we actually control those Dragon missions from right here in Hawthorne in the mission control room that we talked about a little bit earlier. For Dragon and our human spaceflight program, this month also marks a big milestone for SpaceX, our 5-year anniversary of human spaceflight. Now, NASA astronauts Bob Behnken and Doug Hurley got us started back on Demo 2, which was notable for being the first time since the retirement of the shuttle program in 2011 that people launched to orbit from US soil. Now, in those 5 years, we have launched 17 human spaceflight missions, 11 for NASA, and 6 commercial missions, including Polaris Dawn, with our first commercial spacewalk in history, and From 2 earlier this year, which became the first human spaceflight mission ever to explore Earth's polar regions. We've flown a total of 66 crew in those 5 years, and we are expecting that number to grow significantly in the coming years. Now, most recently on our From 2 mission, the crew offered unique glimpses into the orbital spaceflight experience. And this was honestly just so cool to see. Thank you to our Starlink teams for making everything with the From 2 crew shared possible. This honestly made me feel like I was right there with them in Dragon. They were living, they were working, they were relaxing, they were doing their experiments while also having fun, basically just being people and inviting us along for the ride. And that was really meaningful. Being invited up there really showed how these are just the early days on the road to making life multiplanetary. And the vehicle that's going to make all of that happen is Starship. And Dan and Jesse, I don't know about you, but that is definitely a future I have wanted since I was a little kid, and I cannot wait to see us make it a reality.
Yeah, right there with you, Chris.
From 2 is awesome.
The fact that we're getting close to that being reality, that the vehicle that's going to go is sitting on the pad right there, like that's endlessly exciting. All of that's going to include sending humans, all of the infrastructure for a permanent presence on Mars. And we're looking ahead to sending the very first Starships to Mars as early as next year.
Yeah, this will help prove that we can actually get to Mars with a focus on learning as much as possible while demonstrating what will be needed for Mars transit and landing. But before we can make life multiplanetary, we have to build the Starships that will make this all possible.
That's right, and that's happening right here, Starbase, Texas, the gateway to Mars. This is where we're soon going to be launching up to 25 Starship launches per year from here at Starbase. And the place is changing every single day. We've grown quite a bit just in the last couple of years. There's a couple hundred employees, their families living amongst actual rockets. We're in the process of expanding production and integration. We've got a target of 1,000 Starships a year we're going to try to hit. And recently, we did become a city of our own. We're the first city in Cameron County in 30 years. And that's just going to help us scale more quickly, try to build out the best community possible for all the people that are building the future of humanity's place in space. Starbase, pretty easily one of the most inspiring, exciting, unique places to live and work on the planet. As usual, shameless plug, we're always hiring. Come help us build the gateway to Mars. Visit spacex.com/careers. You can see all of our openings.
And this is my first time in Starbase, and Dan, the Star Factory is a manufacturing engineer's dream. To be able to build a factory like this at such a large scale with such a large scale vehicle is so wild to me. And though I'm just visiting, Chris is hanging out right where I call home base. So let's check back in with Chris in Hawthorne.
Thanks, Jesse. Yeah, everything here in Hawthorne is looking good. The crowd is gathered, really excited to watch the hard work of all of their colleagues come to fruition here for Starship on its 9th flight test. Not tracking any issues. We are excited to watch Starship do its thing today, make it halfway around the world, and test a lot of those critical in-space maneuvers and operations that will be vital for the program's continued operation. So Dan and Jesse, we can't wait for liftoff. Let's have a good flight today.
Thanks, Chris. Now, if you're just now joining us, where have you been? But we're glad that you're joining us now. We are at T-minus just under 6 minutes until liftoff of the 9th Starship test flight. So far, the range is looking good. All the airspace and trajectory area that we are going to be launching through is looking good for our test flight today. Weather has been great. It was a little rainy and windy this morning, but it cleared up. It looks beautiful here in Starbase, and propellant loading continues on both stages.
All right, yeah, it is continuing. We're a little over 90% full on our booster. Guys. We are pretty much full in the main tanks on ship, filling up those header tanks. We're going to continue loading prop for about 2 more minutes. Once we're done with that, you've got just under 11 million pounds of liquid.
I'm gonna roll outside real quick, so bear with me. We're gonna leave their audio up and let me get set up outside. I got 4 minutes and 45 seconds to do this, so I'll be right back. Outside views, let's go.
We did just see they did a flap wiggle check, so the final flap check on the ship. We're doing final alignments of the guidance, navigation, and control system, our thrust vector control, essentially our steering. Checkouts of the flight safety system. So everything progressing right now. If we do need to hold that can come at T-minus 40 seconds. That's a point built into the countdown where we can pause to wait for any final checkouts, pressurizations, anything that we need to complete. We can hold there. We will only hold there if we're tracking an issue. We're not currently tracking anything that will hold us at T-minus 40 seconds. But if you've seen a Starship launch before, they can happen. We can push through them and then launch that day still.
Exactly. But when we do pass through T-minus 40 seconds, a number of events will occur in rapid succession. The ground spin and ignition systems come up to flight pressure, ship goes to internal power, and then after that, the quick disconnect or QD, arm lockout is removed in preparation for retraction just shortly after T-minus 0. And once we pass T-minus 40 seconds, we do still have the ability to recycle the count under certain conditions back to T-minus 40 seconds, and then hold there to assess what happened and see if we can proceed again back down to T0.
Yeah, there are a couple of things, kind of gates in that timeline that if we pass through that and we hit a hold, we'd have to scrub for the day. One pretty visual one will be if the water starts flowing for that deflector system that's underneath the launch mount. That happens right at around T-minus 10 seconds. For flowing water, we can't turn it off after it starts, and if we hit a hold, we're scrubbed for the day. We would need to refill those water tanks. We would also, at that point, need to refill all of the propellant tanks, as 11 million pounds of propellant is a whole lot. We can typically do that in about 24 hours, so we can always turn around to try again tomorrow. But we are coming up on 3 minutes away from liftoff. We should be hearing that we're closed out of prop load on the ship at this point. Booster coming up shortly.
And wow, the weather just looks amazing there with Starship on the launch pad. Just about 2 minutes and 45 seconds from T0 with a lot of objectives for today. The booster, the Super Heavy booster flying today, will be flying for its second time. Last flight was on Flight 7 and just turned around in 2 flights, which is pretty incredible. I'm super excited to see that booster fly again.
All right, we did just hear we are going to hold at T-minus 40 seconds.
Of course. Hopefully
So
it's a short
we'll
hold.
pass along some more information once we hear that reason. But again, that's not the end of the day. We can hold at T-minus 40 seconds for quite a few minutes. We eventually have to start looking at our temperature of all of our propellant on board. That's usually what drives us to, if we've held too long, we have to stand down for the day. So we are expecting a hold at T-minus 40 seconds. Sounds like we're going to be doing some additional checkouts on the booster Raptor while we're at that T-minus 40 second mark. So we will expect to see the clock pause at T-minus 40. And then again, we've got a couple of minutes. They can work through the issues. If we're able to clear them, we can still launch today. If it's something that we can't, we can always stand down, turn around, recycle, fly again tomorrow.
Again, that's really important. This is what terminal count is exactly for, is to be checking the vehicle, monitoring the vehicle systems as it makes its way down to T0. And again, this gives us the ability to catch anything and be able to hold, as Dan has been saying, and recycle if we need to, or pause so that we can work through those issues and see if it's something that we need to stand down for. And as Dan mentioned, we will be holding at T-minus 40 seconds, so in about 20 seconds from now.
Yeah, so we'll hold there.
There's definitely some precedence here for this, guys. This has happened on a handful of launches. Sometimes it's, sometimes these T-minus 40 seconds holds are literally only 30 seconds long. Other times they've been 5 minutes. So don't go anywhere. It's not on scrub for today. They have a decent launch window here. So let's just listen up here and make sure we're not missing anything. But I'll be eyes on everything, trying to make sure we're not going to miss anything.
Third time.
And you just heard our flight director for the day, Joe Sliker. He just shared that we are going to hold at this T-minus 40 second mark. Keep an eye on one of those Raptor engines on booster.
All right, so obviously
if you're just now jumping in, we
question.
are holding still at T-minus 40 seconds. Watching one engine, waiting for temperatures to kind of get to a zone that we want them to on one of the engines on the booster, on the Super Heavy booster, getting ready for its second ever flight.
Okay.
We'll just continue to hold. Again, we can hang out here for several minutes. We held for a while on the first attempt last time and then cleared it, and then we triggered a different issue on the ground side.
But again, this is exactly what it's for. This gives us the best chances at success.
And the clock is rolling.
Oh, clock's
Here we go.
rolling. Okay,
All
this is
right.
good. Clock is back.
T-minus 30. Let's listen in.
Oh my God, it's T-minus
Watch
30.
that
That's like
first
almost
flight
no time
move
for
in
me.
Super heavy. Get ready to take off from Starbase.
All right, here we go, guys. I'm all eyes watching now. Because if it's T-minus 30, that means any second for me because there's a little bit of a delay. So I'm looking for that flash. Looking for water deluge.
Delta 1, hit hold.
Oh, we hit a hold. Okay. Okay. That's all right.
We did have a hold, and looks
Back
like the
to a
clock
hold.
jumped back to T-minus 40 seconds.
But they again,
All
they
right,
can,
so
they can
we-
hold
yep,
in
we
this
jumped
position.
out. I did not see the deflector go off.
Yep, that's good.
So hopefully we were right at around that T-minus 10-second mark.
And if we were before that T-minus 10-second mark, we do have the ability to recycle, as we mentioned earlier, back to T-minus 40 seconds.
So it looked like this time it was a ground side issue. We're taking a look at this real quick. So again, we're back at T-minus 40. We're gonna hold for a little bit.
Maybe it was the water deluge.
We are still not scrubbed for the day. Give them a couple of minutes to work through this. Again, we can hang out at T-minus 40 for several minutes. Eventually, we start looking at your bulk temperatures and all of your propellant on board the vehicle. We're not actively replenishing the propellant on board Super Heavy and Starship, and so you don't have essentially forever to hang out before things start to warm up. And you do want to make sure your temperature's in a really stable range for a healthy startup on Raptor engines. So they're going to work through this issue. We can continue to hold here for a couple of minutes. What's launch without a little extra added excitement?
Come on, baby. I'm hoping, like I said, just for personal schedules wise, I'm really hoping to see this thing launch today. So the water deluge system, if they do use it, then so this could be a good and bad thing. If the water deluge system, let's listen.
Cumulatively, we've held for a little over 3 minutes between the two holds. Again, this is a ground side issue on our tower. The techs are looking through the data right now to see if it's something that we can either work through or if it would cause us to have to stand down. So we're continuing to hang out with them, holding at T-minus 40.
If you're just joining us, we did initially hold at T-minus 40 seconds. We continued the count, but recycled before we got to T-minus 10 seconds. And so we're back at a hold at T-minus 40 seconds. Waiting for more information. The team is checking out to see if we can continue today.
Please, 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 please. So like I was saying, it could be if it was that the water deluge didn't trigger, that's a good thing and a bad thing, because good thing is because it didn't trigger, that didn't automatically cause a scrub, because if you do use it, they can't reset right away. So so if it did happen to like kind of maybe
We're continuing to hold here at T-minus 40 seconds. We've been holding for just about 5 minutes now, as the teams evaluate if we can continue to T0 for Flight 9.
yeah, and stage 1 doesn't even. Don't be shy. Just
All right, so it sounds like we're coming to a resolution.
good resolution or a bad resolution. Oh man. How are you guys feeling out there? I've seen a lot of people thinking it's gonna be a scrub, but I don't know. I think I'm
All
feeling
right,
like they're gonna.
So we are We are getting to a resolution. We're going to reset everything.
Reset today? What kind of reset? Hopefully it's like a repress for flight. Hopefully it's not like a reset for tomorrow kind of full reset everything.
All right, so we're going to see the clock. It is now rolling.
Okay, it's rolling. Clock's moving again.
Here we go.
We saw an issue with that quick disconnect to the ship. There is a chance that automation will kick us out again if we encounter the same issue. But for now, the clock is rolling.
We're going to see if we get water deluge. Water deluge is going. So here we go. I see engine ignition. It is lifted off. Here we go. Flight 9. First reuse of a booster engine B-14 flying for the second time in only 5 months. This is the third flight in 2025, the third test of the Starship upper stage version 2. There's that rumble. I can feel it in my chest. Look at that. Oh, yes. Yes. Okay. So we are looking really good. It's a beautiful day for a launch. This is going to be a fantastic view, and it's about to get loud for me, folks. Only 5 miles away, 8 kilometers, and things are shaking. This is when it gets fun. Let's hear for our tracking team out there, making good use of all of our 4K views. Looking up at those 33 Raptor engines. I see all 33 looking fantastic. It is shaking here, baby. Shake and bake. Flight number 9. Oh, and the percussive sound. Oh, I love that. I love that. Thank you. I needed this. All right, let's go. Let's listen to SpaceX here and make sure we're not missing any of the important call-outs.
Aerodynamic pressure, then only about a minute and a half until we get into hot staging.
Wow, Dan, that was incredible. We could feel the building shaking here, feel the vehicle's power. Now we're just about a minute away from shutting down those engines on the booster. Again, this booster is flying for its second time today.
It's still looking good.
All right, so hot staging coming up a little under a minute. We're going to see all but the 3 center engines turn off on the booster. So our version of MECO, most engines cut off. And then just a few seconds later, hoping to see 6 engines ignite on ship.
So I'm going to be ahead of the SpaceX stream as far as my audio callouts. So sorry if it's a little bit confusing, but I'm waiting to see that those engines shut down.
All right, hot staging, about 30 seconds.
Should be any second for me now. Pretty bright. I might need to look at our own cameras.
And definitely keep an eye on which way the booster flips. First ever directional flip we're going for today. Should flip straight up.
Saw hot staging. Don't see any other explosions. That's looking good for a booster boost back burn. Come on,
see those engines powering
ship 2,
down?
please do your thing.
Booster engine cutoff.
Please do your thing. Ship 2, we need this.
Ship ignition. Stage separation.
Incredible flip by Super Heavy booster, and you can see those 6 engines, those 3 engines on the ship ignited.
Wow, I can still see it really
6
good
healthy
here.
Raptors running on ship, on its way to space. Peek that engine view. Booster doing the boost back. Chris, how's it looking over there in Hawthorne, man?
It is looking
chamber pressure is nominal.
It is looking absolutely incredible here in Hawthorne. As we said, 6 healthy engines on ship. We've got 13 out of 13 engines on the booster. Now down to those 3, which is what we expect in the final moments of the boost back burn. Now, as a reminder, we are not recovering the Super Heavy booster today. We are instead going to do some...
shutdown.
And there we had a good shutdown of the boost back burn. Next up will be the jettison of that hot stage
Ship
ring.
avionics power and telemetry nominal.
Oh, I was looking at ship.
Great call out there that
Boosters way
everything
up there.
looking nominal aboard the super heavy vehicle, which is returning to Earth, and we're going to be doing some experiments with it, including a higher angle of attack re-entry, as well as some engine tests as it gets closer to the Gulf. We are, again, because of these tests not recovering it, we are sending it to the Gulf on purpose to do those tests. But again, you see the booster on the left-hand side of your screen. You see ship with 6 healthy engines continuing its ascent to its planned suborbital trajectory. Everything going very well so far for Starship's 9th flight. Now 4 minutes, 15 seconds in. Great views from inside of the aft engine area of ship there, looking at those 3 sea level and 3 Raptor engines on the right-hand side of your screen. The booster doing its LOX dump, that liquid oxygen dump. So because we don't need some of that liquid oxygen propellant in its tanks, we vent that propellant out to lessen the booster's mass as it comes in for its landing. Just absolutely gorgeous views watching these two vehicles do their respective things in the skies over Texas here today. And Dan, we're approaching the 5-minute mark into the flight. Super Heavy is descending rapidly. What can we expect here in the next few minutes as it does its atmospheric tests?
Yeah, now as we had talked about, Super Heavy might not have a very smooth ride down. We're going to be putting it through this higher angle of attack. So we're kind of pitching it up a tiny bit, increasing drag. We've done this in wind tunnels. We've done this in computer modeling. It shows that sometimes the control isn't great, but only one way to really prove it out, and that's to get real-world data. So here comes Super Heavy.
Where did it go? I lost it.
It should be igniting for its landing burn in just about 40 seconds from now.
And we are going to relight 13 engines, then bring that down to 3 engines. As we talked about earlier, we will be intentionally shutting down. We will be shutting down one of those 3 center engines intentionally to push the limits of the Super Heavy booster.
Raptor chamber pressure is nominal.
And continuing to see 6 healthy engines on the ship.
Yes, ship's still looking
3
good, guys.
sea level and 3 vacuum engines still ignited as the Super Heavy booster is making its way back down to Earth.
We can see those grid fins doing some heavy work.
Booster landing, start up.
Ignited for our landing burn.
That might have looked like a boomy boom, maybe. I don't think booster survived.
It may have ended with that landing burn.
Ship still, though. Ship's still chugging along, guys.
Does look like we lost telemetry from the booster once we started into that landing burn. Did you hear confirmation that the booster did demise?
That's why they pushed it to the limits.
So the booster's flight ending before it was able to get through landing burn, but again, we are not bringing that back. We were expecting it to make a hard splashdown in the Gulf. We were getting live data back the entire time through that high angle of attack flight, so that was something that was really vital for us to get during this reuse. First free flight of booster in the books.
Oh, just heard the sonic
boom. All right,
boom.
ship has about 2 minutes left.
Yeah, in about 2 minutes, we expect all 6 Raptor engines to shut down. That will be SECO. Basically second engine or second stage engine shut off. And these are some incredible views, Dan, from the aft end of the ship, watching as the engines stay ignited with the Earth in the background.
As always, the Starship avionics team, the techs. I think we just heard the booster, but all right, we got about a minute left into this burn. All eyes definitely on ship as we get through the final stages into its ascent. We're expecting it to start to cut those engines off.
Okay, here we go.
In about 45 seconds.
Getting close. Outer engines first, then the inner sea level Raptor engines. There is a little bit of a little glow on that one vacuum Raptor engine again, but maybe that's just a reflection or something.
All right, just about 30 seconds to go.
Oh, I see a little fire too in the aft section.
We're in terminal guidance.
There is a little fire.
The final stages of this ascent burn.
There we go. Vacuum
We
shutdown.
did see shutdown of the Raptor engines.
And now
We do stagger these, so we do the Raptors first. Those 3 have shut down successfully. Sea levels still running.
Ship engine cut off.
Okay. Ooh. Oh yeah, that makes sense that you'd have anything hot glowing hotter when you're dumping extra oxygen. So that looks good.
Ship engine cut off, the 3 most beautiful words in the English language.
And great call out that we had nominal insertion.
Yes. Yes.
An
Let's
incredible flight test so far today. We reflew a super heavy booster for the very first time in 9 test flights. Ship is in its orbital trajectory. Again, it's going to remain suborbital for its mission today. But it ignited it ignited all 6 of its engines and made it all the way through SECO just now.
Hopefully this attitude control is intentional. Hopefully they're orienting to be able to deploy the Starlink dummy satellites. But it's hard to tell right now.
Incredible.
All right, but I mean, that's still lots to come for the rest of this flight. Per usual, I need to collect myself. Hey, Chris, how's it going over there in Hawthorne, man? How's everybody doing?
I think the elation and the excitement and the happiness at what we just saw achieved carried through across all of our sites. What an incredible view to see Starship back orbiting the Earth just under 11 minutes into our mission. Absolutely exciting to see all of this, and super pumped especially to see all of the team's hard work in action here today. As guaranteed, it has been an exciting evening so far for Starship's 9th test flight. We lifted off a little bit after 6:30 p.m. after a couple of holds that were triggered at the T-minus 40-second mark, but we were able to clear those, one on the Raptor, one on the tower, and we were able to lift off successfully from Starbase. 33 out of 33 Raptor engines lit on the Super Heavy, all 6 engines lit on Ship, bringing it to its planned suborbital trajectory around Earth. But as Dan said, we've got a lot still coming up in our flight sequence. So coming up at about T plus 18 minutes, 26 seconds, we'll have the first deployment of simulated Starlink satellites planned from Starship. That will be followed at about T plus 37 minutes and 49 seconds by the relight of a single Raptor sea level engine in space. This is going to help us gather data on our ability to do a deorbit burn for future Starship missions that will go orbital. And then, of course, one of the biggest tests yet to come is the new heat shield modifications to Starship. And that'll start with re-entry into Earth's atmosphere at about the T plus 45 minute mark, which should take about 16, 18 minutes to complete. And now today's reentry is going to test that heat shield like we said, specifically how Starship...
So I did want to point out real quick here, some of this could be normal. So they might be spinning it for orientation. They might be spinning it for to propellant settle and do other things with the header tanks and things like that. However, it does seem like a lot of continuing ongoing venting, and I'm not sure yet, so we'll have to listen in. The ice is normal. The ice that you see on the sides, that's normal. This is cryogenic propellant, and but it looks like it might be slowing down. So hopefully this is all just a test. Let's listen in.
Doing the exact same thing on that ship, seeing how the ship handles various flight conditions that we will need it to fly in as we look to one day soon bring ships back to Starbase for catch and reuse. Now, while there are payload simulators on Starship for deployment today, as we will see in a few minutes, the primary data and the primary payload for today is the data. And today, just like with Starship's previous test flights, that data is coming to us courtesy of our Starlink network. In fact, it is from Starlink that you are seeing these wonderful views of ship in space
It looks
right
like spinning
now.
has stopped.
So, and I can't wait to see Starlink really provide those epic views and that data transmission during reentry, which is very, very critical to getting that data during reentry. So, Dan and Jesse, It's been an exciting day so far. There's more to come as we get ready for Starship's first ever payload deploy. What can we expect next here in the next few minutes?
Thanks, Chris. Just going to reiterate, thank you to the Starlink team for these incredible views today. In a few minutes, Starship will deploy 8 Starlink simulators, similar in size to our next generation Starlink satellites. The Starlink simulators will be on the same suborbital trajectory as Starship, meaning they will passively re-enter the atmosphere, just like Starship. With tests like these, we can see how Starship's payload deploy systems work in flight while ensuring that these simulator satellites pose no safety risk to people on Earth or for other satellites in orbit. Now, this also ensures that any parts of these simulator Starlink satellites that do survive re-entry splash down harmlessly in the middle of the Indian Ocean.
This looks more stable, everybody.
And then before we get there, though, we're going to have to open up that payload deploy door. So we've only ever done that one time before. Pretty sure it was Flight 3. Someone on the internet, please check me. But that was the only time we ever opened it. And we've had Starlink simulators on the last 2 flights, but we haven't gotten to this moment yet where we're able to open up the payload door and start deploying these. It's going to be pretty cool. We've got them stacked inside of the Starship payload bay, and we'll have potentially a couple of views. You saw one camera pop up. Oh, there we go. Look inside of the payload bay of Starship. You can see them stacked down in the middle of your view. There's kind of 4 on either side, so they're sandwiched on top of each other, a stack of 4 right behind each other. And then we're going to pop the door open. It's on the right side of your screen, so we'll see that open up and then start firing those Starlink simulators out into space.
Real quick, I want to, someone asking why is it slowing down? The reason is it's still increasing in altitude. So remember earlier I talked about raising your altitude. You're slowest at your highest point, you're fastest at your lowest point. So you'll actually see that speed come back up when it gets back down to like 179. But currently it's coming up to its apogee. So the speed is dropping, and then it'll speed back up as it comes back down. It's literally going uphill still. Even though it's in 0G, it's still rising in orbit, so its velocity will slow down ever so slightly, and soon it'll start going back the other way, and the 2 will reverse.
We're able to do.
That is cool.
Starlink's been really great for Starship, obviously. Getting live video back is really cool, but just the amount of high-speed telemetry, everything we're able to get back is insane. And for a development program, that's kind of everything. We're in excess of 130 or 160. My numbers are fuzzy right now, just like my brain is. But well in excess of 100 megabits per second of downlink, and a lot of that gets eaten up by video. We've got dozens of cameras across Starship. We added several more for this flight. You saw a couple of those as we have essentially 360 degrees. Oop.
Doors
opening?
opening?
The pod bay door, Hal.
Or is that just a light?
Now we are expecting the payload door to open any moment now, so we're watching out for that. Again, you're looking at the inside of Starship as it's suborbital.
By the way, most of what you're seeing floating around is ice, and the reason it's moving direction is depending on how the vehicle's venting, where it's venting from.
Well, we heard the door open was in progress.
Maybe the door is stuck.
It was unable to actuate all the way open, so they are going to close it back up. Hal told me no. He said, I'm sorry, Dan. Can't do that. Looks like we won't get the door open today. But that's okay.
No.
This is obviously a test we want to be able to do before we're deploying full-on Starlinks. But the real focus for this, now that we are in space, is getting to that reentry. That is the most critical phase of Starship that we still have to prove out.
Dang it. Okay, so no deployment. They still have a relight test coming up. And they
All right, well, so it does look like we're not going to be able to deploy Starlinks today, but we should have pretty frequent views from Starship. They might cut in and out every once in a while, but should be pretty regular. We are in darkness right now, so might be a lot of black, but the cool part is when we get to reentry, it's going to be daytime.
Yes, and we did that on purpose so that we can get some live daytime views as ship is returning back to Earth.
All right, so we are going to take a break. Enjoy these views as we get them. Enjoy the tunes. We'll be back in a couple of minutes when we get ready to relight one of those Raptor engines on orbit. See you soon.
I can't open those the bay doors there. All right, so this is why you guys watch here, so we can comment on a few more things and help answer a few more questions. And first off, like I said, unfortunate the doors aren't opening. That's why they test, but I really would have liked to see that happen today. There's still other tests and other milestones that I hope to see happen today. At least the ship got through the second stage burn. Hallelujah. I mean, oh, if that hadn't happened, I would have been walking out of here very sad. But that's good. Progress, milestones, missions, successes, and some failures like the booster. So it looks like the booster just couldn't hold up. Remember, they had a high angle of attack, so it was coming in very aggressively. Additional heating on the engine bay section this time. All sorts of things. And who knows? They lost it. They lost the booster. No big deal. They expected it. That's why they were pushing it to the known limits and beyond the known limits. So yeah, that's all right. That's all right. So now the next thing that I'm hoping, if they got to have a good successful Raptor relight test. You will notice, by the way, we were talking about the speed going down and the altitude still going up. They are still shy of orbital velocity by about 1,500 kilometers an hour. So I believe it's 28,000 kilometers an hour basically is the magic number. 17,500 miles an hour is the magic number that it basically takes to be at orbital velocity. That's where you're fast enough where you're the lowest point of your orbit. Right now, the lowest point of the orbit is it's the ground. But if you go faster and faster and faster, eventually it raises the lowest point of your orbit, and your orbit will just always miss the atmosphere, and thereby it won't slow down, and you'll stay in orbit. So it's just shy. And don't forget, when it's running those engines near the end of the burn, it's not very much difference between orbit and suborbit at this point. So they're just barely suborbital, but that's intentional to target practicing re-entering without risking getting a huge, multi-hundred ton payload stuck up in orbit, right? So it's looking good. That's looking very good. So that's, yeah, like I said, that was a big milestone that I'm really, really, really happy to see make it beyond that, because if they hadn't done that today, I would have been, like I said, very, very, very worried. But the good news is, yeah, we're actually moving into the next section. I want to go ahead and answer a few more questions for you guys while we got you here. And again, thank you guys for watching with me. I greatly, greatly appreciate it. You all are absolutely amazing. It's my pleasure to be able to stream with you guys here. This really is, my dream job. So for all of you that hung out here and watched with us, it means the world to me. Friendly little reminder though, too, that if you're just now watching and you want another thing, actually we could just air. I did have a conversation with Elon Musk earlier today. It was supposed to be after the speech, the event. They moved it. We could air that right now if we wanted to. We're not really doing anything. But you can also find that on X as well. I just posted it there because it's short. It was only 10 minutes long. I didn't want to make a whole YouTube video out of it. But if you want to watch that, it's there. Honestly, there's not a ton of new information because it was supposed to be after the press conference. So there should have been follow-up questions and things that I was excited to ask specifics on. So yeah, there's that reminder. The other reminder too is if you're watching here, don't forget to, before we sell out, which likely is going to happen any minute, the Mercury Redstone Atlas rockets, our 1/100 scale model rockets, are finally in stock. This is our second set of our 1/100 scale rocket models beyond our Falcon 9. So if you want to support the channel, Go to everydayastronaut.com/shop. Get yourself some Mercury Redstone rockets. So it's actually a 2-pack this time, which is awesome at that same 1/100 scale. It's also metal as well, just like the Falcon 9. And also we have our Locks Socks collection today. I just realized that, Andrew, I don't know if you're even... my screen's not working anymore. Okay, yeah. But if you also want to support the work we do here, everydayastronaut.com/shop. That's one of the easiest ways to help, support the work we do here. So, we have 25% off of our Lock Socks. So if you want Methalox socks that say Methalox, I should go this way because then you'll actually see them. Methalox socks. And then we have Carolox and Hydrolox, all colored based on the ear. Woo! Methalox socks. And we've got Carolox. It's a 3-pack. They're 25% off today just for watching with us. everydayastronaut.com/shop. And you can also get a Locks bundle so you can get the Methalox shirt as well. So get in there, everydayastronaut.com/shop before we sell out of those rockets. And let's answer some questions while we're waiting. We have a decent amount of time here before re-entry. So glad you guys are all still here. And again, thank you. Thanks to the mods. Thanks to the Cosmic Perspective crew and the Everyday Astronaut crew for putting this stream together. Thank you to SpaceX for streaming this and sharing the progress. It's exciting. I'm feeling good. I'm on no sleep and I'm feeling great. Let's see here. Speaking of that, we can do replays. I wouldn't mind some replays. We can actually do that now, thanks to Black Magic, who sent us an actual replay deck that's incredible. I would love to see some replays if that's available. Here's some replays of Liftoff in 4K, baby. Look at this. Coming right back at you. It looked good. I was nervous. It felt like, from my perspective, that it was lumbering on the pad longer than normal. From this, that looked quite normal. But I love that there's also just a truck parked there. Oh, this is a good one. That's a fantastic view. Man, I don't know why it felt like it sat there for an extra minute. Not minute, obviously, but feels like it sat there for 3 or 4 extra seconds. And my heart just, I think everything in my body just stopped and was like, oh, cool shot. Yes, from our RoboCam. Being shooketh by the power of 33 Raptor engines. Oh, that's cool. The hole stayed open for a while. Yes. Did you say that was Steve-O? Good job, Steve-O. That's crazy that the connection actually stayed. Is this Burrito Cam? Another tracker. Oh, baby. Kind of our new signature shot. Look at that, staying right perfectly at the tip. Oh, man. Oh, yeah. That is so cool. Now that's a shot. And, of course, we have Andrew Keating, who's mixing, recording real incredible audio. You guys have seen our supercuts before. You know what this all sounds like. It's pretty incredible work. I don't know if we'll maybe pick the best shot and upload that. I don't know if we'll do a full... We didn't do a full supercut last time because I was gone, and this is like terabytes of files, and it's just really hard to do while on the road and all that stuff. So, and it frankly looked just like the other ones. So that's kind of what we got. That's our struggle now. Oh, cool. From inside. Hi, everybody. That's awesome. Wait, so is this... Yeah, just chilling. Spencer, oh, this is from Ryan. This is his the telescope shot, right? It actually doesn't look tight enough for Ryan. Is this Ryan? This doesn't look quite tight enough. Oh, from Sapphire. Okay. I did not realize that. Dang. Dang. That is sick. And of course, when that's slowed down to good replay. I love how quickly we edited that together. Woo. Oh. And we actually play it back at from 60 to 30 fips too. All right. We're actually streaming 4K 60 at you guys. We are pretty amazing. Wait. That is awesome. So the Scott Manley, by the way, in Discord's susceptibility is pointing out that Scott Manley said, I'm honestly kind of concerned that we're just seeing control center room at Hawthorne and some attitude drift, wondering whether there's an attitude control issue. It is kind of just bobbing around there, isn't there? Isn't it? How could it bob around that fast? And well, that's a two-dimensional representation of 3D motion. They're not going to have that little render in the bottom right corner. That's not going to show. It's never going to be other than two-dimensional. So if this is oscillating, like let's say this is going like this, oh, I just spilled water. If that's like off angle, there we go. We're actually seeing views of it now. That does look awfully similar to Flight 3, though. I'm not going to lie. That's feeling pretty similar to Flight 3, where it was kind of spinning out of control. Oh, man. Hopefully that's not I don't know. I don't know what to think about this right now. I don't know what to think about this now. It's so hard to tell what's going on when it's nighttime, too. We got a long ways to go before daylight. Wow. That orientation in the bottom right is not ideal. See, it's so hard to tell. Is that parallax behind us of the... Like, what is... It's still at 174 kilometers in altitude. So that has to literally just be the Earth passing below. It can't, by the way, people are saying it lost quite a bit of altitude. There's nothing you can do right now to change the altitude, basically, besides relighting an engine. It is... Let's listen in.
Systems inside of Starship, which a lot of those are used for your attitude control. And so at this point, we've essentially lost our attitude control with Starship. We are still on a path toward re-entry. We are suborbital, so no matter what, we are going to enter. However, this lowers the chances for it to be a controlled re-entry. So if you think back to Flight 3, when we had something similar happen, just the end symptom of a loss of attitude control, we were in a roll by the time we hit re-entry. So we are going to re-enter. We should hopefully still have views. The Starlink satellites are pretty robust to still maintaining contact. We've got 4 of those terminals on the vehicle, and they're pretty robust to maintaining contact even when we are in a spin, essentially. So we should hopefully continue to keep live views. It's going to still be dark until we get a little bit closer to entry, as we are a little bit, we're coming up on Africa. I believe we do swing just to the south of that continent. And by the time we start heading out over the Indian Ocean, we'll start heading into a sunrise. So not looking great with a lot of our on-orbit objectives for today, where we were hoping to do the PES deploy and relight an engine, and then really importantly get into that controlled entry to really put the heat shield through the ringer. Nonetheless, Starship marching forward towards that re-entry over the Indian Ocean. So we'll continue to hang with it and give you any updates as things continue to change.
All right. Well, that is not the news we wanted to hear. That is not the outcome. One step forward. I'd say this is one step forward, one step back. Yeah, so a reminder, too, of how the attitude control system works on Starship. It's different than almost any other vehicle in history. Instead of having a secondary system for attitude control meaning, like, if something's in space, it's just going to, and it doesn't have any motion, it's just going to stay in the same orientation. If you want to spin something, let's say you want to spin it this way, you light you have a thruster react here, pushing that way, you can light another one down here and help spin it. But then if you stop there, it'll just keep spinning. It'll just keep spinning, keep spinning. Now, if you want to stop that spin, you have that light. You have to do the opposite thing of exactly what you just did. Like, you know, do a thruster here and a thruster here. That'll straighten her back up or stop the spin at least. So normally, like a lot of vehicles, we use cold gas thrusters, which is literally just compressed nitrogen, liquid nitrogen, and you just use, it's not really liquid on this. You use compressed nitrogen at very high pressure, and you literally just open a valve and let it rip, and that reaction, you know, just pushes against the vehicle. Very simple. There's no chemical reaction, just stored high pressure propellant, and it's very simple. There's other, like if you're trying to dock with stuff, you know, like a Dragon capsule or Starliner or Apollo or whatever, a lot of spacecraft that need fine, you know, real maneuvering for deep space missions and stuff will use. They'll use hypergolic propellants. So a bipropellant mixture of typically, you know, it's and oh my gosh, sorry, total lack of sleep here. Hydrazine. So and oh my gosh, my brain has absolutely shut down. Sorry. Anyway, hypergols. You use hypergolics. You use a bipropellant hypergolic reaction. What it does is it means you basically get those two propellants to mix together. Boom, you have a spontaneous, an instantaneous combustion between the two. And dinitrogen tetroxide and hydrazine. There we go. Monomethyl hydrazine. There we go. It finally came. And that's a very common propellant. But you also have to store that in separate tanks and have all these separate pressurant systems. You still have to have an inert gas to push those out. If you need to know more about this, I have my video. I have a video all about this stuff, specifically how do you start a rocket engine and how do you power a rocket engine. Both talk about some of these difficulties. Now, what Starship decided to do, and this is that video clip that you might have heard me do. It's kind of a viral clip, so to speak, where I ask Elon about the warm gas. We'll call it warm gas because hot gas reaction might infer like you literally take and you still have a bipropellant reaction of gaseous oxygen, gaseous methane. You combine them and you still have a chemical reaction. Warm gas thrusters would be, in this case, you literally are using the gaseous methane that would normally be vented out anyway because it's changing from, as it's warming up, changing from a liquid to a gas. It expands and you normally have to vent that anyway. So instead of just venting it aimlessly, they decided, hey, what if we just vent it and have it be the gas reaction system? And believe it or not, and I've said this multiple times, when I initially said that to Elon, I said, but that's just for the booster, right? It's because I actually thought it was a bad idea. And I'm not saying that like, oh, look, he's feeling it. Like nothing at all. Literally, I just was not convinced that that's a good idea. I thought there were better ways that you could do like a bipropellant system still, where you could do a hot gas thruster, where you wouldn't be reliant on all this. And I kind of, pushed back and I was like, well, it just seems weird. And basically he's like, well, if you think about it, we have so much volume that's unusual. No other vehicle gets into orbit with all this extra volume of ullage gas. So the gas that's built up in the pressure in the tanks. And it doesn't actually take much of that to be your reaction control system. And so it's free. It's literally, in the terms of like being able to have a reaction system, it's free. So if you can get it to work, it's brilliant. And they did get it to work. Flight 4, 5, and 6 all had, smooth operation of the warm gas thruster system. Today, this is a new vehicle. There might have been some change that they're going to look at and go, well, that didn't quite work out. So people, Rob Speed said in our Discord saying it's dropped 23 kilometers in about 5 minutes. Yes, and that's, again, nothing they could do right now besides lighting an engine would really have a dramatic effect on its altitude, and it's following a ballistic trajectory at this point. It's in space still. It's above 99.99999% of the atmosphere. There's not much drag yet, so we're literally just following that ballistic coefficient, the ballistic trajectory. So you'll see the speed increasing, altitude decreasing. Earlier you were asking why is it slowing down? It could literally be a brick right now, and it would do the exact same thing. You could have held a brick out the window and let go of it, and its velocity and its altitude would be doing the exact same thing. Obviously, its attitude right now is Willy Wonka. It's all wonked and not looking good. But that is not having a noticeable or, you know, a real effect per se on the trajectory. So it's more just orientation. That's why it's spinning, but that's not changing its trajectory. Just to be clear, that takes a larger impulse, a larger amount of energy to effectively, you know, push around a 200-ton vehicle to make a noticeable trajectory on a 200+ ton vehicle going 26,000 kilometers an hour, still almost 10 times faster than like a bullet. With that much mass, it takes a lot of energy to move it around. So hopefully that explains that. Let's try to get to some of your questions and see if we can get caught up at all. Let's get a little good news one. This is going to be not fun, and let's get one from Tri Celsius. Nice to finally be a member on your channel. I'm an SLS electrical flight processes engineer. If you had to guess, how would re-entry software models for Earth work for Mars entry? Excuse me, when the atmosphere is thinner. Thank you so much for hanging out. I really appreciate you saying hi, and I appreciate your super chat. So how would re-entry software models for Earth work for Mars entry? So literally, you know, this actually right now, this region here, 100 kilometers down to 80 kilometers in altitude or so, I mean, just by the numbers, it pretty well lines up with Mars, you know, so you can still get valuable flight data of what it would be like, what it is like when you're flying through Mars's atmosphere. Because the big thing is, even when you're at this velocity, even a minute amount of atmosphere, even 1% of the atmosphere has a huge amount of resistance. Man, this really, I don't know what's exactly going on. It's getting very disorienting. I feel like we're totally spinning out of control, and that we might see this thing like just tear itself apart from centrifugal force. It seems like it's really like, wow. Make sure we're not missing any SpaceX audio. I don't know if they're probably not commenting on this. There's a fire. There's obviously a light source. There's a fire. Why else would there be a light source? It's nighttime. So that's why we're seeing there has to be a fire somewhere. I don't know where, but man, the good thing is it's a fire. Ooh, tika. The good news is that it's staying online for a long time. So they're gathering a lot of data right now. The longer they're connected to the vehicle, the more information. Remember, they said today's payload is data. Well, they're gathering some data here. They're gathering data about what's going wrong, hopefully, and hopefully they'll have, you know, a solution in hand and a factory able to build out the solution in no time. But this looks like plasma reentry interacting with what might be a fire already. It's entering backwards, so we're getting the leeward side experiencing. This is crazy. Footage like this has never been seen before. Whatever is going on, plasma interacting with. Wow. Wow. This is intense. So again, for a reminder, we would consider this off nominal. This is not what this is supposed to look like. And again, it's bittersweet because the first bit of, you know, this vehicle finally made it through SECO, but it looks to me like there's been a leak this whole time probably. That might have been it. Oh, nope. She's still here. But I would guess there's been a leak this whole time. It's a fire. We have gaseous oxygen. And you might ask, how can you have a fire in space? Well, there's oxygen on board. This vehicle has liquid oxygen. It has liquid methane. If those two things are vented and there's heat to start a fire, and if it's continually flowing, I mean, same thing with the rocket engine. It's just a low pressure rocket engine. Now we're seeing breakup. Yeah, I think that Raptor vacuum engine on the right broke actually, because there was some glowing on it near SECO, and I think it's just spewing. This is crazy. It keeps coming back. Unbelievable. Hey, props to the Starlink team. This is footage you would have never been able to capture before Starlink. There's no way, because now we have all this interference of all this plasma, all this heat, all this gas, all this, the tumbling, so the antennas would be pointing in the wrong direction. You would have never, oh, listening.
Which is good. That is exactly what we planned for. You know, we do plan for if something does go a little bit off nominal, that we have enough airspace cleared out for situations just like this.
Yeah, re-entry is still just that really critical phase that we need to try and gather as much data, as much information as possible. Is a fully reusable heat shield has never been flown before, the history of space flight, and that's something that Starship still has to crack. And so we had a whole range of experiments on this one at this point, and we just started to lose some of our cameras, so it's very possible that we'll start to lose contact with Starship a lot sooner than we would have if it was a nominal re-entry. So we are expecting it to break up essentially on its re-entry over the Indian Ocean. So not able to do a lot of our on-orbit objectives today, but just the fact that we, you know, got it into space was just a really big moment for a lot of the team.
Yeah, and another thing to note is that Super Heavy did fly for its second flight today. It first flew on Flight 7, and it made it all the way to our shutdown of all the engines and stage separation, getting ship into its suborbital trajectory today. It did ignite its 13 engines, but it did demise at that point. We did plan to fly it back down to Earth at a higher angle of attack, and we do expect it to stress the vehicle a lot more than what we've seen previously. So it's not unexpected that we did lose the booster before we got to the actual landing.
Yeah, it has to catch up.
So we're gonna continue to hang out and see if we get any updates on ship. It does look like we might be getting some video back soon. There we go. So this is a view essentially on the top part of Starship. You're looking up at the payload bay and towards the nose cone. So views are going to be a little bit scarce potentially, as again we are in essentially a tumble. We had lost that attitude control. So Starlink, when it's able to connect, able to feed this down.
I think we might have lost them. There we go.
To this phase.
And with the views that we are,
I think that's breaking up now. Oh man, there we
go.
Do
expect the vehicle to see about 1400 degrees Celsius, and there you can see the flap feeling that temperature there, a little bit melting away, but as we expected with the spinning of the vehicle, we are no longer controlling the attitude of the vehicle. So this is now, at this point in the test flight, it is expected to see it begin to demise a little bit on its way back down to Earth.
Yeah, and so we'll stick with it for as long as we're kind of getting any reach back from the ship as it starts to make this re-entry. But yeah, so it's re-entering actively right now. And again, we did do what's called passivation. So you essentially vent all of your excess propellant overboard before you hit the atmosphere. That's a safety measure we can take on the ship while you still have contact with it. So that was done. It's now coming down in the predetermined hazard area that was cleared ahead of flight. Not controlled, so we're not going to get all of that re-entry data that we're still really looking forward to. This is kind of a new generation of ship. It has different flaps, improved heat shield, a whole lot of things that we're really trying to really put through the ringer, as there's a whole lot we still need to learn before we get to kind of the next step that we're hoping for, which is going to be that ship going orbital and eventually coming back here for a catch. So getting through one of these fully is going to be really important. It's not going to be today, but we are just going to stick with the ship, see what else we can learn as it makes its way through the atmosphere and brings an end to the 9th flight test. So we'll stick with it.
This is actually what I love about SpaceX is they share what they can. When they have videos that no one else has ever produced in the entire world, they're sharing it with us. And the fact that they can even get that video down while it's tumbling, scorching through the atmosphere, I mean, the upper atmosphere, that is unbelievable. Telemetry officially gone. I mean, and reminder, this is not just falling. Yes, it's uncontrolled, but again, its trajectory was on target. So as soon as those engines cut off, there's pretty much nothing you can do to change where it's going to re-enter. So it's re-entering in its pre-planned re-entry corridor, which is in the Indian Ocean. That's why the reason they make it a big re-entry corridor, in case something goes wrong, it might fall short, in case something, if it breaks up at this altitude, whatever, you plan around that. You say, here's our exclusion zone. No matter what happens, if it makes it to, on this trajectory, it's going to all the debris will end up in this corridor. So that's pre-planned. There's no boats, there's no planes, there's no nothing there. And that's part of the safety culture of really aerospace in general. Every rocket launch has, well, except for some in China and some in Russia and stuff. Most rocket launches, let's listen in.
Its second flight, it first flew on Flight 9 and made its way to take ship all the way up to stage separation, doing its second flight ever, which is pretty incredible. We did lose the booster on the way back down, as we did fly it back down at a higher angle of attack. So as expected, we did have it demise on the way back down.
Yeah, we were able to get all the way to that landing burn, though. So we made it through that higher angle of attack. So a lot of great data that's going to help us improve those future booster flights.
Yeah, we did do the directional flip, and it worked.
Yep.
It was actually
Flipped
a great
right
view
direction.
that we saw. And then ship continued, 6 healthy Raptor engines in the beginning of its flight, making it all the way to SECO and coasting for quite a while. We made it to the expected time that we would open up the payload door. Unfortunately, the door did not open as we expected it to, so we did not deploy the 8 Starlink satellites.
Yeah, we ran into a couple of issues once ship got there, but I can tell you it was a pretty crazy moment for a lot of the people that were standing here for ship to make it there. It's been a couple of flights, but it was really exciting to see. Ran into some issues on orbit. We weren't able to deploy the Starlinks. We eventually lost attitude control, dealing with some propellant links inside of the ship. And we did lose attitude control. And just to confirm, we did lose contact with the ship officially a couple of minutes ago. So that brings an end to the 9th flight test. So still a lot of work to do, but really big moment. Chris, how's everybody doing over there in Hawthorne? What's the vibes, man?
Yeah, I mean, it's a test program, and that's what we're here to do. We're here to learn, and that was definitely the vibe and the atmosphere here at Hawthorne. Would have been great to see ship get all the way through its objectives today, but with all of that data that came down through the Starlink system, we're definitely going to learn it, and we're definitely going to fix that and push forward. Also, great to see the responsible engineers here in mission control, talking with the flight control teams in Starbase. We talked about how it's great having that expert knowledge on console to be able to go to at a moment's notice, and that really helped us make the right decisions in orbit today when we decided to passivate the vehicle. So we will be here looking forward to Flight 10 and some success on future flights.
All right, well, obviously congratulations to everybody that poured so much time, effort into getting this rocket off the pad. The last 2 months have been an absolute gauntlet for a lot of people, and we're continuing to learn more about this ship, about this rocket. We are trying to do something that is impossibly hard, and it's not always you're not going to reach it in a straight line. We said there's going to be bumps, there's going to be turns, but seeing that ship in space today was a hell of a moment for us. So congratulations to every single person who put time, effort, sweat, anything into that rocket.
Yeah, this is exactly the SpaceX way. We're going to learn, iterate, and iterate over and over again until we figure it out. So thank you to everybody for tuning in. Thank you for the fine people of Cameron County, including the residents of the newest city of Starbase, as well as the Coast Guard, Federal Aviation Administration, Government of Mexico, as well as the Australian Space Agency.
All right, now, this is not the end. We're going to have a whole bunch of cool liftoff stuff, so be sure to follow us on X at SpaceX for more, and we will see you back here for Flight 10. Thanks for tuning in.
All right, so again, everyone, Maybe a little F in chat to pay respects. Oh, definitely a bit of a bummer, but we have a gorgeous sunset here. This is live right after the launch here. It's a beautiful sunset. I'm excited to get our team fed tonight. That's going to be the thing that I'm looking forward to. I don't think we really... Yeah, we did. We had some lunch. SpaceX gave us some lunch. Maybe... I don't know if we'll get a talk tonight. You know, there's that talk of the chance of there still being a presentation after the launch. I guess we'll probably at this point see how Elon's feeling. Maybe a little bit gun shy if there's a lot of work to do. So, but give a shout out to everyone. Shout out to, again, SpaceX for at least getting first booster reuse, first time for Ship 2 to make it through to, you know, all the way through SECO. I do have to point out, this is actually following about the same trajectory as the first 3 flights of Ship 1, of the original first 3 Starship launches, where almost exactly, where we didn't get to SECO on flight 1 or 2, and by 3rd, they got to SECO, but they lost control. I mean, it's verbatim, and before you knew it, by flight 4, they were getting some serious success. Flight 5 and 6 were awesome. So, hopefully it's a similar path here. Again, gotta learn. They gotta push forward, and hopefully that's gonna work out for them, and hopefully they'll learn from that. And one more time before I lose you guys, reminder that we do have 25% off of our socks if you want to support the work we do here at Everyday Astronaut. Lock socks are 25% off this from the web store, along with our Methalox shirts, and we do have our 1/100 scale metal Falcon 9 rockets back in stock, as well as our brand new Mercury Redstone metal. The most detailed 1/100 scale model rockets you'll be able to find online. So if you want to support the work we do, head on over to everydayastronaut.com/shop. Get some lock socks, and if you want to get, you can take full 25% off as well of the Methalox shirt and the lock socks. For watching with me, that's an appreciation. And our heat shield mug the heat shield didn't even get to really be used today. Oh yeah, we do have, by the way, I don't know if I've ever mentioned, okay, so we have our heat shield button up, which is awesome. It's, if you look really closely, it's a bunch of little tiny heat shields. So we do have this, but we also have something, we do have this now in a long sleeve shirt by popular demand. Everyone wanted us to do a long sleeve button up as well. So these are custom sewn and manufactured and completely legit dress wear. So if you are someone that needs to wear dress wear for work, or you just prefer it, yeah, our heat shield collection is awesome. Unfortunately, heat shields didn't really get to be used today, but everydayastronaut.com/shop if you want to get something cool for yourself and support the work we do here. As we see a beautiful sunset, as I kind of get a little bit, I've got mixed feelings. And one, I am so relieved I can just go to bed tonight and sleep and have a normal day tomorrow. Hopefully I get my luggage that's still lost. I can get caught up on sleep. All of the things will be great. I am feeling very, very good about that on a personal life. On a ship thing, I'm really happy booster reuse was awesome. I'm really happy they mostly made it. I mean, second stage, I think it was leaking already on second stage burn. I don't know. One step forward, one step back. 2 steps. This was kind of a 2-step forward, 1 step back in a way. But it's just... When you, I was standing in the factory earlier today looking at so much hardware that you just go, you know what? It doesn't matter. They'll figure it out, and it's not a big deal for them to just build another one. You know, they have, that's the part that's never existed at this scale before, is the ability to not have it totally ruin your entire company if you lose a ship like this, because they have a factory. They have the means and the production line to be able to do something and iterate and build another one, because that's what they were focusing on this whole time, was like, hey, we're going to learn how to build it. The first ones are going to be really crappy, but we're just going to learn. Then we'll iterate on that. We'll refine that. Now we can build them a lot faster. Now we know what machines we need to make them better, and we know the line of construction kind of needs to flow this way. Now we know once this is all here, we can line this up, and we'll get this machine to do this, and then we'll tear down this building because it's too small and make a bigger one. They have that coming together, and that's what matters, because after that, it becomes trivial. Once this is solved, it's trivial. The manufacturing aspect is completely trivial. So this felt, this is right down the middle for me, where I'm feeling good that they made progress, but doesn't feel great that it wasn't just a home run, which I was really hoping for. So, man, I don't know. How are you guys feeling about it? man, I'm absolutely losing my voice. I'll get to some fun comments here. I got to just kind of fly through these because I am starving. Our crew has been out working all day. I'm on no sleep. Ready. BPS Space, didn't miss you. Joe Barnard, everyone say hello, Joe. And thank you so much for the donation. Love you, bud. And thank you for tuning in. Jay Cowan, great job, Tim, as always, and I hope all's well. And the Rio Grande Valley, thank you so much. $50 from Trevor. Say, my son and daughter are in Laguna Vista with my in-laws, and we'll get to see their first rocket launch. Could you give Emmett and Abby a shout out? So sorry that I'm really late on this, probably. You're the best, and we love what you do. Thank you so much. That's awesome. Hello, Emmett and Abby. Hope you enjoyed the launch. From here, the launch part was awesome. David Swenson, treat the team to some post-flight tacos at Astro. Thank you so much, David. That's exactly what we're going to be doing. Really, really appreciate that. We're gonna feed the crew tonight real well and hopefully get some real sleep. That'll be awesome. From B. Stankin, thanks for not being part of the drama and always bringing space facts. You know what? I've found it. I'm just happier when I'm talking about space. I'm happy when I'm talking about rockets. I'm happy when I'm focusing on that. So I'll just keep pushing on that. And I appreciate all of you that listen and watch and want to learn along with me. And I'll tell you what I learned, and I'll keep trying to make the best videos I can to teach you what I do learn. Rye Rittinger, another $50. Thank you so much. Keep up the great coverage, my guy. I have always enjoyed your content coverage. Thank you so much. Sincerely, that means a lot. Brady Glenn, I love you, Ashlyn from Brady. Let's go Starship to the moon. I can't wait for that. Thank you for allowing me to tell your girlfriend or your partner that you love them, Brady. That's awesome. And how fun is it to have love and rockets? That's what I'm talking about. Love and rockets. Just gonna see if I can find any other really what else I missed. Like I said, sorry, I'm gonna try to wrap up here so we can get on the road. Another one from Brady. Thank you so much for that. Tyler wanted me to show the tumbling water example again when I spilled water everywhere. Whee! I probably won't do that until I finish drinking this. This is awesome from Kenneth Johnson. Head cam quality is beautiful and great shot from the team. Excited for your sleep-deprived speech tomorrow and the Elon Musk interview. Wonderful coverage today. Thanks for the hard work. You know what? I won't have a sleep-deprived speech tomorrow because I'm going to sleep like an absolute baby tonight, and it's going to be awesome. Let's see here. Thank you guys so much again. Just flying through here. Another $100 from Tyler Matthew Harris. Keep up the great work, Tim and team. In 100 years, people will still be watching these videos. Catch you next time. Thank you so much. That is very, very generous. And that's what I'm trying to keep in my head here is that we are still seeing and witnessing history, and we're still seeing these steps, these sometimes baby steps, sometimes what feel like giant leaps, but just this crawl towards progression. And I don't remember if it was on stream they said it or something, but they said what matters is not, I don't remember how they worded it, but they're basically like, what matters is the progress, the fastest way to be able to get to the end goal, which is eventually getting humans on Mars and figuring out a fully and rapidly reusable rocket. What's the fastest way to do that? Is it to sit there and solve it on pen and paper and in simulations for years and years and years and years? Or is it faster to just go out there, fly one, see what breaks, see what doesn't, build another one because building it's actually relatively easy and cheap and go from there? And that seems to, that's what they're doing. Like I said, I'm feeling, man, I am like right down the middle here where I'm in some ways really happy. Some ways it's just a bummer. It's a weird one, but hopefully the next one's not far away, and hopefully the next one they are able to iterate and improve upon it already. Man, I feel like with this beautiful sunset view, we got to do something poetic. Maybe I'll put together something for you guys right now. I'll chef up a little something delicious, and it's gonna go like this. My friends, to the fellow humans here with me on this planet Earth, may we join together, come together. Hey, keep the sunset up. That was the whole point, was the sunset. Thank you. May we come together May we hold hands globally through internet connections. May we dream upon days where humans will leave the Earth collectively in large ships exploring our own solar system in ways that only science fiction had dreamt of in the past. May we spread the gospel of love of rockets and think about how loud and flamey they are. Sometimes good flames, sometimes bad flames, but always flames. Always flames. I can't think of any better way to end this stream than that. That's a sleep-deprived poem. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching our coverage. It really does mean the world to me and the team here and everyone involved that put these together. We wouldn't be doing this without you guys. We physically couldn't be doing this without you and all your generous support. So thank you guys for hanging out with us. We're gonna get out of here. Yeah, we're gonna get fed and get some sleep, and it's gonna be awesome. And that's gonna do it for me. I'm Tim Dodd, the Everyday Astronaut, bringing space down to Earth for everyday people. Goodbye, everybody.